Bases dropped on a new edition of Soccer Down here. It's a Thursday. We're taking your Thursday thoughts on Twitter at Soccer Down here, on the Twitch pitch, twitch.tv/Soccer Down here. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out early this morning. We got a lot of things to jump into. We've also got a live show tonight. Our first live show in over a year. The last time we did a live show was at Wild Heaven Brewery in the West End, where it was a season kickoff for 2020. That was awesome, and we were very excited, and there were lots of things to come. And then this day happened 365 days ago. A year ago right now, I think I was awake because I think we did the show at the normal time. We might have been doing it on Mexico City time. I don't remember. But I was in Mexico City, and Atlanta United was playing Club America in the evening. And just even in the not even 2 days I'd been in Mexico, things were changing really, really fast. I was talking about this yesterday, and when we arrived in Mexico, and I think it was like dinner time on the Monday, there was really no sign of anything going on. A pandemic had not been declared by the World Health Organization yet. That happened a year ago today. The airport felt like normal, and everything felt like normal. Went out to dinner, the Monday night we were down there, the Tuesday night we were down there. That Tuesday dinner was the last time I have eaten in a restaurant. It's been a long time now. Great morcilla, so that was cool. At least it was a good one to finish on. But I remember, things were ramping up. But being in Mexico, we didn't know every single thing that was ramping up. We didn't know what all was going on. I remember watching Liverpool and Atletico Madrid with a full stadium, and Atleti eliminated Liverpool on the night, and that was that the last sporting event in England with fans? I think it was. Yeah. That was during the day. There were fans at the Estadio Azteca in the evening. But it was the time from when we left the hotel to the time that we kicked off at the Estadio Azteca, which, is 3 hours or so, that everything in the sports world, at least in North America, changed. By the time we're driving to the stadium, and there were questions about what the NBA was going to do. There had been reports that they were going to move behind closed doors the next day. There were questions about what MLS would do in response to that. Would there be fans in the stands for the match against Kansas City on the weekend? We didn't know. And we got into the stadium, got into our broadcast position, and the Rudy Gobert news hit. And then 30 minutes later, they announced they were suspending the season afterwards. We're listening to Steve Holman call the Hawks game because we were going on right after that. We heard the Hawks, with a comeback, send it to overtime. Vince Carter hits his final shot in his career. And all this is happening while we're preparing for a CONCACAF Champions League game to call. It was surreal, and it just continued to get more surreal. It was a really bad start to the match, and once we got into the second half, it was just kind of like, well, what's going to happen tomorrow? And we didn't know. We really didn't know. When everything was going on, there were real questions about, are we going to be able to get back into the country? Which we were all overreacting at that point. But we didn't know. None of us really knew. We get to the airport after the game in the middle of the night, and everybody was masked up. The airport looked very different over 48 hours later from when we arrived. And I remember, because I cannot sleep on planes. I hate it, but I just can't. And those overnight flights are the worst for me. I did not get on the Wi-Fi. I just read a book. Probably a book about Argentine soccer, Diego Maradona or something. I was just trying to read something to take my mind off of everything. And got to the airport. It was pretty empty. Got through customs, said our goodbyes. None of us knew at that point what was next. And I went home and went to sleep. And when I woke up, MLS had announced 2 hours before that the league was suspended, and then everything was shutting down. So it was crazy. I mean, it's crazy to think back. That was 365 days ago.
Yeah.
And it does feel like it's starting to change. And I mean, I guess it is kind of fitting that we're doing a live show tonight. It is not a normal live show. I mean, it's going to be a live show that is socially distanced, that masks are required, that is going to be limited to a very small percentage of the space available. But it feels like, okay, maybe there is light at the end of the tunnel, because, man, there were times you thought you saw the light, and then it got dashed. And now it does feel like things are heading in the right direction. If you can come out tonight, if you're comfortable to come out tonight, we'd love to see you. If you can't, we completely understand. And the show will be available on Twitch, and there will be giveaways and interaction specifically with the crowd on Twitch. $50 gift certificate to people who are drinking Wild Heaven beer and showing us they are drinking Wild Heaven beer. You'll tweet pictures to us at Soccer Down Here for that. There will be a giveaway on site. We do have an update on our fundraiser tonight. Lloyd's Soccer Shop is going to be on site. They will have the new jersey, and they are donating a new jersey to be raffled off for Soccer in the Streets, which will be very, very, very cool. So, yes, we, again, would love to see you. We 100% understand if you are not comfortable in seeing us just yet. But you can see us virtually like you do every morning, so it's all good. It's just a weird anniversary. It's a really weird anniversary. Now, John, you were in Mexico City at least one extra day because you did a little bit different itinerary than us. But things didn't really change down there too much until, honestly, the next week, right?
Right. No, I came in on game day. After we did the show, I went to the airport, flew down, got to the hotel, which was a mile away from the Estadio Azteca. Put everything down, got settled, went into the stadium, and I was sitting right next to the communication staff for Atlanta United. And we're all sitting there and we're looking at our phones as the game's going on. It's like, you see Mark Cuban's reaction, you see the NBA, you see all this stuff going on, and you got your head's going, okay, what in the wide world of sports is going to be going on next? I stayed that Thursday because I knew we were going to do a show. So I was in the hotel room Thursday watching CNN International all day, seeing what was going on. And then I flew out after the show on Friday, hoping I could get back into the country, not knowing what, security situations were going to be and things like that. So it was apprehensive getting there, but then you get into Hartsfield and you get checked in, you get checked through, and then everything changed. And I've been going back and forth with Mike on Twitter this morning. And for those watching on Twitch, I told Mike, I said, this is going to end up in a frame one day, and it's the lineup card from the game at the Estadio Azteca with South America and Atlanta United. So I still have this, and it's a reminder of a lot of different things on a lot of different levels. And so, the fact that it's been 365 days is absolutely surreal, but it'll be good to be out tonight with our first show of the year.
Yeah, it's stuff that'll be drilled into my brain for as long as it functions. I mean, I will just always remember like the shock when we heard about Rudy Gobert, and then the bigger shock when we heard what the NBA was going to do. You could hear the emotion in Steve Holman's voice. I mean, as we're listening to him on the return in our headsets, getting ready to get started. I mean, it was just surreal. And I'll always remember, it's a dumb thing, but I'll always remember, kind of saying our goodbyes at the airport, because none of us really knew what was next and when we would see each other and what the next game was and all that, because MLS didn't announce things until, I want to say, around 11 o'clock, if I remember right, because I think I got home a little after 7. I think we landed in the 6 o'clock region and went through customs, and there was nobody there. I went home and went to sleep, and I woke up after 1 o'clock, and I'd put my phone on silent, which I hardly ever do, and woke up and grabbed my phone and just had notification of things that had happened in just a few hours. I'll always remember that. It's craziness. It's just absolute craziness.
Mm-hmm.
People are sharing their kind of remembrances of what it was like for them, whether it was when their office shut down, when work shut down, all the different things that happened, because it's something that hopefully will never repeat, and it's just such a crazy thing. Also in the Twitch pitch in the chat, Scott Flood of the Flood Project is in there. Scott is the one who organizes our live events and the brewery tour. So if you have questions about upcoming shows, you have questions about safety precautions tonight, at the Flood Project in the Twitch pitch, Scott will take care of you there. We will be all over the, not even just metro area this year. Ramping up a little slowly, but yeah, we'll be all over the metro area, and we're trying to not just go and do what we do in the mornings, but we're trying to involve local folks. We're trying to have some guests for you at these sites. We're trying to do some fundraising for local nonprofits or soccer clubs or initiatives. So it's a big deal, but it's a big deal to build the community that you guys have helped us build over time. So we are easing back into it tonight, and if you are comfortable to ease into it with us again, we'd love to see you. But if you can't, we totally understand. You can watch on Twitch, and you can be part of the show right there. So a lot of things to talk about today. We've got Liverpool and PSG getting it done. Both, I think Liverpool was better than PSG on the day. Liverpool answered bigger questions because they did not look like they were capable of that sort of form. They didn't play that well in the first leg against Leipzig. They get it done, and now what can they be going forward? PSG didn't look great. Sometimes it's tricky with such a big lead. It's like, how intense are you going to actually play? It's real easy to play in a low gear and not really push too hard, and you look flat because you are flat. Barcelona didn't get the goals I thought they would. They had the chances. I mean, Keylor Navas was amazing. And what does this man have to do to get respect? He's at Real Madrid, and it's like they're always trying to replace him. They finally do and send him off to PSG. Now it's like, oh, they're going to go get Hugo Lloris. And why? You don't need anybody else. Keylor Navas is the best goalkeeper to ever come from CONCACAF. Yes, I'm saying that as a U.S. men's national team fan. And we have had great goalkeepers. We have not had goalkeepers who have won the Champions League like Keylor Navas. We have not had goalkeepers who have performed in the Champions League in these moments like Keylor Navas. He is the best. He is the GOAT. He might be the best player from CONCACAF of all time. It's that simple. I have no idea why everybody's always looking to replace the guy. He stands up huge last night, and he was by far the biggest reason why PSG gets it done. Barcelona looked good, and Barcelona got out of it what I kind of thought they would coming in. They didn't get as many goals, but they got that dignity, and that's one of the things that a lot of people have said is, okay, Barcelona can be proud of how they performed in this game, where they are coming out of it. They've got a title race in Spain. They've got a Copa del Rey final. Barcelona feels redeemed after the poor first leg.
So let me ask this question.
Hi, Jarrett.
Hi, Jarrett.
So let me ask this, because I saw someone mention this during the game. Ousmane Dembele.
Mm-hmm.
If he could finish, are we talking about him more in a category with like an Mbappe and the like? Because the dude gets opportunities. He creates opportunities like crazy, but it just seems like the final product is very much not there. And I felt like last night was a good example of it, where he had opportunities, and that killing stroke just was not there at all.
Yeah, I mean, if he was producing more, we'd be talking about him differently for sure. And he had great opportunities, and is the biggest disappointment when it comes to the Barcelona side of things. I think he's in that real in-between. If you're Barcelona, if you're Joan Laporta, if you're Ronald Koeman, who I would assume will continue on next season, we'll see who else is in the decision-making process. When you sit down and you figure out, like, okay, first we got to figure out what we're going to do with Lionel Messi, and we'll talk about that here in a second. You got to figure out, okay, is there anybody else that you can sell because you need to bring in cash? He's right on that line. He's somebody that I think ordinarily you would say, no way, we're not selling. But the production, is it going to change? And I don't know. And if the right offer came along, if I'm Barcelona, I would be tempted to sell.
I mean, I'm looking at guys like Dembele and Griezmann would be the two that I'm thinking of. You know, if you're looking to sell and get resources back in return for Barcelona talent. But I was going to ask you the question, Jason. You kind of got into it. So, Jarrett, Keylor Navas, how underappreciated is Keylor Navas in your mind? Considering that Jason's answered the question, I want to ask it to you now too.
It's wild. I mean, dude's got titles. He got titles with Real Madrid. I think would him dragging PSG to a Champions League title actually give him more respect? Because
it should.
Yeah.
No one else is dragging PSG to a title yet. That man manages to drag PSG to a title or a Champions League title. I gotta think that might help do it, but I don't know. Like I'm trying to think of an equivalent, and I can't off the top of my head for a guy who's like, no, he might be the best to come from that area, but doesn't really get his due. And John, you'll get this. Like, speaking strictly on the field, it's kind of like Colin Kaepernick when he was at Nevada running that pistol offense, where everyone's like, that was good. No, that was amazing. Yeah. I don't think people remember fondly enough what that Nevada offense was. It was a tree shredder of an offense.
It was gorgeous.
No, guys, this is a horrible comparison. And I'll tell you why. Yes. Nevada, yippee, skippy. What have they won? Nothing. Keylor Navas at Real Madrid won 3 Champions Leagues, 4 Club World Cups. What's the man supposed to do? Nevada didn't win the national championship, and then there's disrespect.
Kept Boise State out of it, though.
Yo, yay, Boise State. Oh, let's have the Nevada Boise State down here conversation.
But then you want to mention Kaepernick as a 49er?
That's a whole different conversation. That is an entirely different conversation. And yes, he has been disrespected for reasons that have nothing to do with football. They're very stupid reasons. Right. That has zero to do with this.
He also lost a title at the end to Baltimore. But
he got to a Super Bowl. Okay, anyway, Keylor Navas is not somebody who is like a trendy, hipster college football quarterback. This is a man who has won 3 Champions League, 4 Club World Cups. He's got 2 league titles in Europe. He's got a runner-up in the Champions League with PSG last year. There's nothing else for him to prove.
So who has been disrespected historically to this level like a Keylor Navas then?
If Keylor Navas was from a European country, he would not be treated this way.
True.
If Keylor Navas was from a South American country, he would not be treated this way. Yep. He is from a CONCACAF nation, and he's not even from the United States or Mexico.
I dare to say if he was from the United States, he wouldn't be treated this way.
No, he wouldn't. He would be treated with a little more respect, but that stuff would creep in. He is from Costa Rica, which their best ever World Cup run was a quarterfinal, and he was massively involved in that. He's not respected in that same way because of that. But it all trickles down. It's CONCACAF. If he was Argentine, it'd be a different conversation. If he was European, it'd be a different conversation. He is disrespected because of where he is from, and it's borderline absurd at this point. And if you are a CONCACAF fan, if you enjoy what happens in this part of the world, he is the best and most accomplished player in the history of CONCACAF. I know it's hard to compare goalkeepers with field players or forwards or even defenders. I know it gets difficult. But Keylor Navas has done the most. You know, the other names that come up in that conversation, Hugo Sanchez comes up in that conversation as a leading goal scorer in La Liga with Real Madrid in the 80s. Rafa Marquez comes up in this conversation because of his wins and trophies at Barcelona. Those are the ones. And they're not anywhere near Keylor Navas, in my opinion. No, not anywhere near. He is the most accomplished. Go ahead.
To play devil's advocate on you, and I don't agree with it, but I wonder if this is where it's coming from with people. Is he was a goalkeeper at Real Madrid, which was a super weapon for a while, and I wonder if people just kind of discounted it because it was Real Madrid.
You're looking at the offense as opposed to Keylor Navas in that case. Is that your point?
And it's not to take away from what he's done. Maybe people look strictly at the offense there and don't think about what he did in net for him. Because go back and look at what he did in net for Real Madrid. It was impressive. It is wild that they always just kind of like, we'll replace him. He's winning titles. He's keeping people out in the big moments, but we can replace him. That's fine. Why?
It's a situation where Iker Casillas got that credit at Real Madrid. Keylor Navas doesn't. So I don't even think it's that. I think it is where he is from. They've always thought they could get better. And look, there's not a whole lot of goalkeepers in the world better than Keylor Navas. And he showed it again last night. PSG, it wasn't a great performance from them. It didn't need to be. I think maybe there's a little bit of overthinking here in this. They did what they had to do. Let's talk about Liverpool, because Liverpool was impressive, and we haven't been able to say Liverpool was impressive for a while now. And they showed that they were able to flip a switch and be a different team in the Champions League. A big part of it is Fabinho, and Jurgen Klopp talked about it after the game. He said that Fabinho is one of the best in the world at the number 6. He's had to play different places. He can't do that anymore. I think Jurgen Klopp got some things wrong with moving midfielders into the back line and weakening both position groups. That didn't work. Fabinho needs to play the 6. He is the guy. And it's better to play a weaker center back and keep Fabinho at the 6 than to weaken both sections. I will also want to talk. I don't want to diminish what Liverpool did. Liverpool was good. There's got to be some questions about RB Leipzig, though, because they were not. They were not good at all. I think they had 2 shots on goal, maybe 3 in a game where they needed at least 2 goals. It's unacceptable. What is the deal with Leipzig, or is it just in the post-Timo Werner world for them, this is just who they are? They're just a round of 16 Champions League team. Can they be better? Are there any questions about Nagelsmann?
No, go ahead, Jared.
I don't know. Like, first of all, the amount of Schadenfreude coming out of Germany, the rest of Germany, I'm sure, is like toxic levels this morning. But I don't know. I don't want to compare apples to oranges in the Red Bull system, but it kind of feels like a more juiced up version of what Red Bulls can be at times, where like, hey, when they hit and they get like that guy who is just a damn problem, then they can be terrifying. And you look at them like, oh, that team can make a run and win the whole damn thing. But if they don't have that, then they're there. They can cause problems, but they don't have the guy to get you over the top or the guys to get you over the top. And I don't know if that falls on Nagelsmann or if that falls on like the Red Bull system. I'm not really sure where the divide is on that about who gets what in terms of blame, but I mean, they're good, but man, that was even if that was your ceiling, like round of 16 was your ceiling, you want a better showing than that, where you just went out with a whimper and you made a Liverpool team that has looked abysmal look really confident. Liverpool could have dropped 3 or 4 more on them. They had really issues in the early part of that game, putting away opportunities. They had one that was just comical where I believe it was Mo Salah and Sane. Like, both of them had like 2 shots each at putting a ball into an open net, and neither one could do it. It was just you kind of made a Liverpool team that needs some confidence. You gave it to them, and you needed a good showing, and it wasn't there. Even if 16 is your ceiling with what you've got, damn, you got to have a better showing than that, right?
Yeah, and Red Bulls, they were in the first leg. It was 2 mistakes at the back. Liverpool took advantage, and this time out, I think it was Klosterman who wasn't marking Salah as closely as he should, Liverpool takes advantage. I think you also got to see, Jason, you were talking about making sure that lineups were static and you weren't sacrificing one section for the other. At the back, it was Kabak and Nat Williams. You had center backs at center back, in addition to what your midfield was supposed to be. And Diogo Jota, I think, was back as well. So I think that you're seeing pieces that were missing and philosophy getting locked in place. This is a different Liverpool than what we've seen over the last 6 weeks.
Can they sustain it, I think, is the question, because this did not look like the same team that played Fulham at all. Can they sustain this going forward? Or is it just, and this is a tough balance. I mean, is it just everything points to Champions League for them? I know that's easy to say.
I think that's where it is.
Yeah, but Jarrett, are they going to win the Champions League?
I don't know, but
I don't think so.
At this point, I don't think so either. But at this point, they got a better shot at that than finishing. I mean, do they have a better shot at that than they do have at finishing top 4 in England right now?
7 points. I mean, it's not a massive difference, but it's
there's
7
a lot
points.
of bodies in between you and 7 points.
Yeah, it's true. I mean,
I agree. 7 points isn't a huge amount to make up when you're Liverpool, and if you can flip it on, yeah, you're fine. But it's the thing for me is that there's a lot of bodies in between that you're going to need other people to not turn it on.
It's Tottenham 2 points ahead of you, Everton 3 points ahead, West Ham 5 points ahead, Chelsea is in the number 4 spot on 50 points. And when you look ahead at what Liverpool has coming up, they go to Wolves on the 15th, then they have a break, which they need desperately. Then April 3rd, they go to Arsenal. So 2 games on the road. I don't know what to say because, I mean, if they were the team we saw last night going to Wolves, I'd say, okay, fine, they'll find a way to grind it out. Arsenal may be a little bit different conversation, but okay, they'll find a way. They haven't been that team in the league. The Wolves game they will get in 4 days after some momentum, which should help them. And then they get that time off, and we'll see where things are. Do they get some players back for the Arsenal match? Do things look differently at that point? We'll have to wait and see. But this needs to be, for Liverpool, a kick-on to better form in Champions League because, yeah, that is their best chance for a trophy. But I think they can't punt the league to get there.
Well, and I mean, you look at the rest of their schedule, and it's manageable because here's the rest of their schedule. I'm just going to name the teams. You've got, after Arsenal, Villa, Leeds, Newcastle, Manchester United May 1st, Southampton, West Brom, Burnley, and you finish the season with Crystal Palace. That's manageable.
Yeah, it's absolutely doable. People thought Fulham was manageable too.
True.
And that's the problem.
That's true. In theory, you should be able to take care of some of your business here. In
theory. But you've got to have better form in the league than you have. You've got to be at least at this kind of level. And you probably need to be better. I want to hear from you guys out there watching, especially you guys on Twitch, thoughts on Champions League yesterday. Thoughts on now the 4 teams that are moving on from the last 2 days. Is PSG a title contender this time around? Is Liverpool a title contender this time around? Or are they kind of making up the numbers and hoping to get round by round? Is there disappointment about the teams that were eliminated? Are there questions about Nagelsmann? I thought the first leg, I didn't like the tactics. He did have a true number 9 here, but they didn't generate much in a game where they had to. That's a little concerning for the guy who everybody is talking about as the next big guy. Juventus, there's a lot of talk about Juve and what's next, and now in the Italian media, the rejuvenation process will continue. They do have a decision to make about Ronaldo, and the more people talk about it, the more it seems like they're willing to try to find an exit strategy here. They are going to get younger. The transfer market is complicated. There's no way around that. But the young guys that they have brought in are sure to stay. They're possibly going to move on from some of the older players and try to revitalize this squad. And, can Andrea Pirlo get it done? And there's questions. We've only seen, not even a full year from him yet. Sevilla, Sevilla's been the kings of the Europa League. They got into the knockouts in the Champions League. I don't think there's any massive shame in going out where they did, but Champions League thoughts, give it to us on the Twitch pitch, twitch.tv/soccer down here if you're listening on the app. Throw your thoughts into the Twitch pitch. If we have tweets about it, John, let's also get to that, and we'll kind of wrap up Champions League right here.
Right on. Let's see. Nothing from a Champions League perspective, so all the other topics are non-Champions League based on Twitters right now.
Okay, that was a lot of words for no.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out, as I was scanning, and I'm like, nothing there.
A lot of words. Coco says Klopp needs to have a meeting with the higher-ups and discuss what their willingness would be to lose the Prem fight to go after the Champions League. I mean, I'm not even thinking really the Prem fight. I'm thinking about qualifying for Champions League next year. I mean, are they willing to risk no European competition next year? None. Or do you need to at least play your way into the Europa League? I don't know the financials. That would be the meeting with the higher-ups they need to have is, are the financials, is this something we have to do? We have to qualify for next year? Because, look, when you start thinking about just the gambling you're doing here, if you punt league games to get another round in Champions League this year, yes, there's prize money. But does that come at the expense of everything next year? That's a big gamble that you're going to win this year and get back into Champions League. And if you don't, then you got nothing next year and you don't have any European revenue. That is a massive gamble for Liverpool. Dalazan thinks they're going to drop to Wolves. I don't know what to think about Liverpool, to be perfectly honest. They absolutely could. Based off what we've seen in league play, yeah, they could. Based off what we saw against Leipzig, no, they should find a way through. But no telling. It's so strange. Coco feels like all the games that they have left are winnable except for Manchester United. Even if you rotate guys to save them for Champions League, some of that's going to be down to getting guys healthy. There's not a whole lot of rotation you can do if you've got a extremely long injury list. Ragamuffin says Salah wants the golden boot with Fabinho in his natural six and Thiago and Wijnaldum playing in front. The front three will be fed. I'm confident in climbing the table. No top four, though. And, it's not the sexy conversation to be having here about Liverpool, but is it okay if they play their way into a Europa League spot for next year because of the financial ramifications? Yeah, you might not get top four because, as Jarrett said, there's a bunch of teams in between. Chelsea's looking really good under Tuchel. You might not catch them. But is getting to the Europa League spots big enough because of the financial ramifications and what it can do for the club in the long term? Is that a must? I don't know. I agree, Ragamuffin, with these players back, and especially that front six, the three midfielders, the three forwards, back to where they should be. This is a team that can get points with what you have left on the table, for sure, and you should. And put pressure on. The question will be, when it comes down to it, and some of this is going to be down to depth and getting guys back from injury, is do you have to make some tough decisions about league games versus Champions League games and where you rest people if you have to get there? And that's what I don't know the answers to right now because I don't know what their books look like.
Yeah, Klopp had a presser this morning, real quick, Jarrett, before I toss to you. Asked whether it was a ridiculous notion to think about winning the trophy for a seventh time, meaning Champions League. He says, it is kind of, but the only reasons you play in this competition is because you want to win it. But we aren't silly, and so far this season, it is not one which looks like we will win the Champions League in the end. We have to wait for the draw. It'll be an extremely tough game, whoever we get. Jarrett, what do you think?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be... It's the thing with, when you look at the schedule and you got Wolves coming up, you got this, you got that. Winnability of games has not been their problem. The actual execution of the winning of the games has been their problem. And because of the fact that you've been dropping points where you don't need to drop points, I mean, unless you get real weird and just start, winning games against the grain, which I'm not really expecting you to. Again, Liverpool has been racked by injuries and, trying to find ways to unlock things, and maybe just, going with the worst back line and keeping your six at your six is what needs to happen, but might be a little bit too late for that in terms of getting into the top four. It's just kind of a gaggle of humanity between you and the four. So, I mean, maybe you see how this draw looks, and when's your next game? 2 weeks for Champions League?
It's longer than that because you got the international break at the end of the week.
Break. So you got a while. I think you can kind of cheat on this a bit, where you're gonna take that international break. You got the Wolves game. You've got probably 1 game, 2 games between now and then as well, between Champions League. You can kind of see where things stand going into Champions League and see, okay, hey, the teams above us are dropping points. We can still get 4. We need to focus on that. Or, hey, the teams above us didn't drop points and we did. Here's what we need to be, focusing our efforts at. It may not be a decision you make right now.
Yeah. I mean, you can't make it right now because you got to get healthy first to where you can even know what you're dealing with. Valazan thinks Liverpool is a contender. PSG are as well. If they don't draw each other, that is Valazan's pick for the final. Bayern Munich might have something to say about that.
Mm-hmm.
I think they will.
Bayern Munich is just Thanos.
Yeah, I think they're going to have something to say. I think whoever comes out of Atleti and Chelsea might have something to say as well. Coco says if Dortmund can get a favorable draw, I'd love to see them keep pushing. And look, that's the key, and Klopp said it. I mean, the draw is what determines a lot of this. That's why teams that define themselves only on Champions League success, you're needing to get lucky on draws, like on draws of who you're going to play. Because, I mean, if you're Dortmund and you say, like, it is Champions League or bust, well, if you draw a weaker team in the quarterfinal, then okay, cool, everything worked out. If you draw Bayern Munich, well, then you're in trouble. Like, it's just, like, it's down to randomness. So, like, Juventus and the outcries about Champions League, the outcries about, well, Pep Guardiola can't win Champions League. It's like, a lot of it is down to the draw. Mm-hmm. There's so much randomness that comes into it. Back to our best Costa Rican player discussion that has continued on the Twitch pitch. I said Navas 1, Wanchope 2, maybe Centeno 3 or Brian Ruiz. I'd have to think about that one a little bit more. Kefsey throws Joel Campbell into the mix. Yeah. I don't know. I just don't know how much I don't think he's ahead of any of those others.
No.
I don't think he's ahead of Walter Centeno, who was an amazing central midfielder for a long time for them. I don't think he's ahead of Wanchope. Wanchope, if Navas didn't exist, would be the greatest Costa Rican player ever. I think Brian Ruiz is ahead of Campbell as well. Abby doesn't think Liverpool's going to win the Champions League. Katie asks, could we see a Champions League 21/22 without Ronaldo or Messi? No. You'll see both of them in Champions League next year somewhere.
Yeah.
My guess right now is Messi stays at Barcelona. And my guess right now is Ronaldo leaves Juventus, but he goes to another Champions League level squad. I don't know who yet because I think it's going to depend on how the dust settles with the transfer window, where Erling Haaland lands, where Mbappe lands, where some other moves happen. But yeah, I think Ronaldo is only going to go to a Champions League team somewhere. And I think Messi stays at Barca. And Barcelona will be in the Champions League next year. So I think that will continue. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I've come around on Messi staying at Barcelona, and I, like you, think that Ronaldo will be going someplace where that team will be active in Champions League. So I think they'll both be there. It's just that I think only one of them will be in a different place than we're seeing them this year.
A lot of great conversation on the Twitch pitch. Thanks, you guys, for hanging out today. Good crowd hanging out on Twitch. Let's continue with Messi real quick because there have been some things said about Messi and what's next. AS had an article this morning that kind of summed up a couple of things. There was a rumor either before kickoff yesterday or towards the end of the final whistle with somebody saying like, oh no, he's already decided to leave. He's going to City and then he's going to go to New York City and blah, 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 blah. AS with the update, nobody knows what's going to happen yet. Joan Laporta being elected as the new president, there are bigger expectations he will stay at Barcelona. There has been speculation, and Guillaume Balage has also speculated about this and continued with it, that Messi will come to Major League Soccer. He has said he would like to live in the United States in the near future. I said a long time ago, I didn't think Messi would be in MLS until the midpoint of the 2023 season, because everything will be based on him being at as good of a place as he can be for the World Cup in 22, because that'll be his last, and he wants to try to lift that trophy. So whatever he does, if he stays at Barcelona, if he goes to PSG, if he goes to Manchester City, I think he is in Europe for 21-22 and 22-23, because World Cup's obviously the middle of the 22-23 season. Then he could make the jump. So I think he does a 2-year deal wherever he goes. Now, several reports in England said that Manchester City are going to offer, and this is old news if I remember right, maybe it's just people refreshing old news or old rumor, that Manchester City would offer a 5-year deal, 2 in the Premier League, an option for a 3rd, then the next 2 at NYCFC. 500 million euro, and he'd be a global ambassador for the City Group, et cetera, et cetera. Jose Antonio Ponsetti of Cadena Ser in Spain said that no matter what happens, Messi would join Inter Miami in 2 years. I believe Messi might have an apartment or a condo or a house or something in the Miami area. I think that's been speculated upon. Ponsetti says that with Laporta winning the presidential elections, Messi could stay in Barcelona for 2 years, 2 more years, and then join Miami. Ponsetti said whatever happens in 2 years, Lionel Messi will join Inter Miami. He might renew his contract with Barca, but I can assure as of now that Messi has a 50-50 chance of joining the MLS franchise by 2023. I think he plays in MLS, and I think it is in 2023 in the second half of the season. Miami makes a lot of sense because I don't think he goes to City. I know the Pep Guardiola connection. I understand it. And if that happened and they wanted to tie it to NYC, I get it. I get it. It makes a lot of sense. I think he wants to be in Miami because of the city of Miami. I don't think it has anything to do with the people there, although I'm sure he knows David Beckham and is friendly with David Beckham, and I don't think that's an issue. But he wants to be in Miami because of what Miami is. It is the gateway to Latin America in a lot of ways, and it's a haven. They're going to draw players because of that from time to time. I think they're going to draw Lionel Messi. I think it'll be 2023 when Lionel Messi debuts in MLS in the second half of the year after the European season, and I think he's here for maybe 18 months, maybe a season and a half, maybe 2 seasons and a half, depending on how he's feeling. I do think he'll play at Newell's Old Boys as well. I think he'll play at least a season at Newell's because he never had the opportunity to play in Argentina, and I think that does mean a lot to him. So I don't think it's City. I don't think it's PSG anymore. I think he stays at Barca and then comes to MLS.
Back in late 2019, he purchased a $5 million condo in the Porsche Design Tower in Miami.
I thought there was something to that.
2-bed, 5-bath. The property was listed at $7.5 million. He picked it up for $5 million. 2
bedrooms and 5 bathrooms?
Yep.
I've never heard of that kind of a layout. Ever.
I haven't either.
That's interesting. Wow. Okay. Strange. Yeah. I mean, look, he's already got a place. Coco says it's a prime party house. I don't think Messi's a big party guy. He got away from Ronaldinho early in his career. He got away from that. Nah, I think that's the way it'll go down. I do think he will want to be part of getting Barcelona back properly on their feet. I don't know what that means for his salary. I don't know if it really matters too much at this point. I mean, he'll be paid, and he'll be paid well, but I don't think he'll be paid anywhere near what he was before, and I think he will be fine with that to help spread the money around. The Sergio Aguero stuff has taken a little bit of a step back. Basically kind of the same idea. Like Messi has said, I'm not going to talk to anybody. I'm not going to negotiate until the season's over out of respect for Barcelona. Aguero has allegedly said the same things. I'm not, looking for anything at the moment until the season is over out of the respect I have for Manchester City. I also think he's going to wait and see what happens with Messi at Barcelona. If Messi stays at Barcelona, Sergio Aguero goes to Barcelona, in my opinion. If Messi leaves, then no, I don't think Aguero goes there. But if they get a chance to play together at the club level, I think they take it. And I think it'd be a good signing for Barcelona if you could get Sergio Aguero on a free at a reasonable number because he wants to play with his friend Lionel Messi. And yes, you do have to get younger, but this is another interesting thing on the Barcelona side because we've talked about Barca needing to get younger and play the kids. They have. And this is another element where Ronald Koeman, I think, needs a lot of props. This was going to be a transition season. They're in second in the table right now in La Liga, so they are competitive. They have a shot at the title. They have a shot at the Copa del Rey because they're in the final. They have had to play the kids to some effect because of the financial situations. That's true. 10,450 minutes to players under the age of 22 right now. That is the most since Pep Guardiola's last season at Barcelona. By a lot. Like, not by a little bit, by a lot. Pep's last season at Barca, 2011-12, 7,246 minutes to players under the age of 22. That was the most up until this year by a good bit. The next season, 5,258. The Tata Martino season at Barcelona, only 2,700. The 2018-19 season, 4,900 minutes to players under the age of 22. Last season, 3,400 minutes. This season, 10,450. Koeman has played the kids. He has not been too worried about it. The 11 fielded by Quique Setien in the embarrassment against Bayern Munich last year in Champions League, the 8-2 loss. Oldest team in their Champions League history. Oldest team in Champions League history, period. 29 years, 329 days average age. They've gotten younger dramatically this year. They continue to need to get younger. But you keep Messi. You go get a veteran, good forward in Sergio Aguero. Borderline great forward. Just depends on how much he can stay healthy. And you keep developing these kids, you're going to be all right. You're going to be just fine if you're Barcelona. But yeah, I think Messi and the continuity with him is very important.
Looking at the numbers, doing some quick math, and I know that's dangerous for me. Taking your Koeman numbers versus the next highest is more than 40% increase in minutes played by the younger players with Koeman versus that last year that you were mentioning.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. And some of it is by necessity, 100%. Some of it is by necessity, but he's still done it. And I wouldn't expect him to run away from it. Now, look, he does want to bring in Memphis Depay. Eric Garcia is pretty young. It looks like he'll be coming in on a free to bolster the back line. Yeah, you can still go out and grab a couple of players who are available on frees, but you're heading in the right direction. You need to invest in what you have and develop what you have. But having somebody like Lionel Messi and potentially Sergio Aguero to be that focal point and to be those role models in a lot of ways for the kids, it's big. It's big, and it'll help you be competitive and keep you in a Champions League kind of spot and keep that financial money coming in, because that's the other element here is Barcelona just can't afford to completely tank and just play kids and not worry about where they finish. They've got to be in Champions League. They've got to have the money coming in from it.
Absolutely, and that's it's a dance that Koeman has navigated pretty well so far this year, and making sure that you're staying toward the top of the table in the spots that you're supposed to, in country and in league, and then still putting together the efforts that you're doing in Champions League. So no, it's a delicate dance, and he's done it pretty well so far.
He's done it very, very well. And he's going to have to continue to do it if he stays in the job, and he should stay in the job. He's done a good job. He's done a good job at Barcelona with what he's had to deal with. I think he needs a little more props, and we haven't given him enough. Let's talk about Europa League because it is back underway today. First leg, round of 16, correct?
Yep, round of 16.
12:55 kickoffs. Ajax and Young Boys. We'll talk about Young Boys here in a second. Dynamo Kiev and Villarreal. Manchester United and Milan. Ooh. Slavia Prague and Rangers. 3 p.m. kickoffs. Granada and Molde. Olympiacos and Arsenal. Roma and Shakhtar. Tottenham and Dinamo Zagreb. What games are you watching, John?
12:55, it's Ajax and Young Boys, because I think that one's just going to be bonkers crazy and fun to watch, and it's also one of the 6 that we picked. So technically, I'll probably be watching Zona Football and keeping an eye on all of them. But if you want me to focus on one game at 12:55, it's Ajax and Young Boys, and then probably Roma and Shakhtar at 3.
I will be watching the Golasso show, but I will be keeping an eye on Young Boys, especially because their forward, Jordan Sibachu, has decided that he will represent the United States. This is a big one. CBS Sports, the quote is, American soccer fans have been waiting patiently to see if Jordan Sibachu would be representing the United States on an international level. Players eligible to play for the Stars and Stripes, Cameroon or France. And it was a mystery until today, yesterday, when he committed to representing the U.S. 9 goals and an assist in the Swiss Super League season. That's another striker in the fold for the U.S. and a player to definitely keep an eye on. And when you're looking at young strikers, I mean, it's Josh Sargent, who is having a potentially record-setting year for an American in the Bundesliga. You've got Hoppe at Schalke. You've got Sibachu at Young Boys. You've got some options up top. Sebastian Soto is a little bit further back now because he's not playing at Norwich yet. It's coming. You're going to have a lot of options. Greg Berhalter is going to be able to pick based off of form. And I think this is something to get used to a little bit because in the past, and we've talked about it on the women's side too, it's you've got your pool, you pick your players, it's the same lineup pretty much, it's the same group, you might see a change here or there based off injury, that's it. On the men's side, it was a lot of that because you didn't have a ton of options, you didn't have a ton of depth. That's changed over the years, and now you've got even more competition for spots because you'll be able to say, all right, we're going into a Nations League semifinal in June. Sibachu finished with 8 goals in his last 6 games. Yeah, he's starting. And thank you, Josh Sargent. You're doing great. You're going to be on the bench. Jossie's Artist, it's been slow for you at Columbus early on. You're going to be on the bench. Matthew Hoppe, you're not even going to get called in. And if the guy's performing, he's going to play. And in the next game, the next time around, if it's then Zardes is scoring goals for fun, well, then he's going to play. Like, that's the difference that you're about to get into is you're going to be able to pick the players who are playing the best at the moment. And you're not going to be stuck picking players who are in bad form.
You mentioned Ajax and Young Boys. Looking at the totals for this particular one. At over-under 2.5 at a -190, over-under 3.5 at +132, 4.5 is a +306.
Bart is coming in as the negative Nelly of the day. A lot of depth in the U.S. men's national team striker pool, but none of them give us a whole lot of confidence. Can't wait to see how this March camp plays out. Byrne continues with the negative Nelly conversation. I agree. None of these guys are elite strikers on an international level. I agree with that.
Yeah.
But to act like they're not performing, no, I gotta thoroughly disagree. And I'm usually the one who will walk you back on the national team stuff and be like, hey, slow down a little bit. But I mean, Sibachu, yes, it's Switzerland. It's a little bit lower league, but he's doing it in Europe as well. 9 goals and 22 appearances in a league in Europe is going to get your attention. What Josh Sargent is doing at Werder Bremen needs to be a little bit more, but it is going to get your attention. He is on 5 goals. He scored in his 3rd straight game. 11th goal since debuting for Werder Bremen in December of 18. He's trying to get to Eric Winalda's record of 9 goals. That's the highest an American has ever scored in a season in the top flight in Germany. Sargent's on 5. He is tied with Matthew Hopp, who is on 5 as well. He's tied with Michael Bradley, who had 5 for Mönchengladbach in 2008, 2009. Bobby Wood had 5 for Hamburg in 2016-17. Before that, lower down on the list, it's Pulisic with 4 for Dortmund 2 seasons in 19 and in 20. Clint Mathis scored 4 for Hanover in 2003-2004. I forgot about that one. Claudio Reyna scored 4 for Wolfsburg in 97-98. 9's the record. Sargent's trying to get there. Sargent is going to be somebody who's considered. I still want more from him. Sibachu is somebody you're going to pay attention to. Jossie Zardes has scored goals. He's going to get called in. He's going to get looked at. Josie Altidore, if he gets healthy, he's going to get looked at, but he's got to show you that he's healthy. Matthew Hoppe, he's going to get looked at because he scored 5 goals this season at a young age. These things are good. I don't think anybody's saying that these guys are what Sergio Aguero has been or what Gonzalo Higuain has been or what Harry Kane is. No. But it's not Josie starts because there's nobody else to push Josie anymore. That's a good place to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to be a little excited about that, right? It's okay to be excited about the depth. I am excited to see what these camps look like. I'm excited to see what these rosters look like. I'm just glad that Berhalter will be able to pick the hot hand and not have to roll somebody out who isn't playing well because there isn't anybody else who is pushing them. I think those days are gone, and you're going to have better and better talent. Yep, you want to get them at higher levels. Yep, you want to continue to get them at bigger clubs, but we're in a completely different place than we were a year ago, let alone 5 years ago or 10 years ago.
I mean, seriously, how many guys did you just roll off your tongue that are a part of the discussion?
There's a bunch.
That's what, and to be able to have this discussion, I think is just as valid as anything else, because you're mentioning more than one guy just because that guy would be the guy. You know, no other choices, no other talk. This is the guy regardless. But the fact that you're having the discussion, dropping a bunch of different names, I think it really speaks to where things have come in the last year. And the fact that you've got Sibachu at Young Boys and Hoppe at Schalke and all these different guys in all these different places that you can plug into your national team, I think it's just a good thing to be able to talk about all these guys.
Yeah. I don't think anybody's saying it's a bad thing, but I think it's trying to find the balance here because and I don't think anybody's going down this road. I hope not, because it would be incorrect that Young Boys, Werder Bremen, we can include DK into this at Barnsley, we can include Columbus, we can include some of these other elements. No, those clubs are not Tottenham, Liverpool, Real Madrid. No, they're not. But you've got more depth and options than you've had. And you don't always, and Bart went through it on the Twitch pitch, you don't always have to have that top guy at the number 9 if you've got the other pieces around. You do have Gio Reyna, who is at Borussia Dortmund. You do have Christian Pulisic, who is at Chelsea. Maybe not for long. We'll find out about that. But you do have players that are attacking players who can score goals and can create goals, who are at elite clubs, and I think are elite young talents. You know, are they the best player in the world? No, they're not. But again, we're not used to having that. You know, I mean, to be able to look at Champions League situations where, you know, you're watching Tyler Adams, you're watching Serginho Dest, you're watching to see if Christian Pulisic plays. You know, you're watching Gio Reyna. Like, you're watching guys in massive games. It's a big deal. It is a big, big deal. And it's a good thing. I'd love to get a number 9 at one of those spots, and maybe it is Soto at some point. Maybe it is Sibachu at some point. Maybe it is Josh Sargent at some point. But I think it's easy to point at what it's not, but if you forget about what it was, you don't really have, I think, an understanding of how far it's come. And that's important. And it's only going to continue to get better. I'm really excited about the pool that the national team will have to pick from. All right, a lot of people are excited about it being 10 o'clock and what that means and what happens next, because John gets to tell us about our good friend Steve Apolinski, and people will be grading this. And John, you're going to have a different read this evening to make, and people will be grading it as well. I don't know if people are going to bring like numbers like you see at the dunk contest and hold them
that'd
up.
Be great.
Be something. That might happen. I don't know.
Slam dunk contest. People are doing the judging that way.
That might happen. I might be hiding under the table at that point. But to get you ready for that, you're going to tell us about Steve Apolinski right now.
Apolinski and Associates, LLC, proud supporters of everything soccer down here in the SDH network for wrongful death and serious injury matters. One place you need to go to get all your questions answered, and it is Apolinski and Associates, LLC. How do you get those questions answered, you may ask? There are 3 ways that you can do it. 1, shoot Steve an email, steve@aa-legal.com, or give them a phone call, 404-377-9191. Get a free consultation that way. Or you can go on the World Wide Web, large device or small, and in the address bar, type in aa-legal.com. Not necessarily as loudly as I may. Depends on what your stamping is. aa-legal.com. Hit enter, hit return, hit the arrow key, whatever advances it to the homepage. You can find out about all the different accolades that have been placed upon Apolinski and Associates, LLC, from either magazines, folks that believe in what the legal profession is doing, peer awards, a lot of different things that Apolinski and Associates have been awarded. You can find out about those awards. You can find out about all the different tacks that you can take with Apolinski and Associates, LLC, all the different cases and all the different caseloads that they have. 2 different time zones for clients in Georgia and Alabama. You can have your questions answered 24/7, 365 and a quarter from the homepage, or from the pop-up window that pops up, because that's what pop-up windows do. They pop up. You can get it answered all year long, actually, 24/7, 365 and a quarter. Recognized as Legal 8 by Georgia Trend Magazine and others at the bottom of the homepage for Apolinski and Associates, LLC. For wrongful death and serious injury matters, there's only one place you need to go. It is Apolinski and Associates, LLC. The website is aa-legal.com.
Yeah, that happened.
Yep.
Why are you determined to make the longest read ever? Every single time?
I'm talking faster each and every time.
You're saying more stuff, John. If you talk faster and you're saying more stuff, it's still going to be long. If the Micro Machines guy has 5 pages to read versus 2, it's still going to be longer with 5. Ay, Dios mío. Longest ever. Whew. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Because, wow. Oh, no, we're ad-libbing already. First. Micro Machines off the bat. Now normal reading. Oh, no, we're ad-libbing already. John should do a read on how to get your vaccine. That might take 20 minutes. Going downhill, caseloads. I doubt you can find their caseload on their website. Going down tangents down here. Bart and Bernd actually having a real conversation. You messed up the flow, 2.8. Loud. Jason rubbing his eyes, or is he trying not to laugh?
The latter.
Figure that one out, Abby. 9 out of 10 plus 4 for having that gorgeous radio voice. The Alazon is just very, very kind today.
13, I like that.
Spud Webb gives John a 7. Road less traveled and not on the map anymore. Plus 2 for stretching. It's more important than people realize. You got a yellow card. Magazines, folks that believe in the legal profession is doing an endless ad-lib tangent. Is this the longest read ever? 1.9087. It absolutely was, Sean. New accolade segment needs work. Minus 1.5. 7 overall. You got a red card. Ouch, stumbling. Started off strong, though, 5.85. Wow, John Speedy today. John went from a 10 to -1 because it went and it just kept going.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Fast out of the gates, +1. Folks that believe in legal, wait, what? -3, -1 because that was weird and too long. 7, that seems too high, though. You got another red card. Wow. This week has gone downhill day by day, a 4. 5-game suspension for that read. Not even going to score it.
Seriously.
7, not bad, not great. Longest ever, even with the speed read. Thomas, he just added more pages. He read fast, but added more stuff. Gah. 9 out of 10 because it made me rant. Thanks, DM Tim. 4, and that's just because Abby doesn't like the number 4. Alex Pacine.
So she gives me a grade for a number she doesn't like.
Yes. Alex Pacine is still trying to curry favor with a 10 or bring you good luck, one or the other. 4.9 from the West Russian judge. Tangents, new material, not cutting old. Reed seemed to ramble. Ad-libbing is fine. Changes are good, Thomas says. Just not when it takes 2 minutes. Lowest I've ever given was a 5. Highest an 8. I think this is a 6.75. This was a lot, 5. El Mataflow's meter is back. It was Starbucks regular coffee out of 10. Turner says, there's a reason we yell at our backup PA guy to stay on script when he starts to ad-lib reads during games. That is correct, Turner.
Yes, that's it. Is.
After Thomas DeWin tried to defend you, he gave you a 6. You got a 6.5, trying to be positive because of the pandemic anniversary. 6.5 from Huntsville, Alabama. I felt like I just finished a long book. Modaflow gives the Starbucks regular coffee. It's for that bitter aftertaste that mirrors the exchange of words between Jason and John after. Ragamuffin thinks you were great. He's just mad because I've talked trash about Liverpool lately.
There you go.
Should be noted, a 7 is the lowest in the dunk contest. Kefsey makes us know, and he gave a 7. So there you go. Good job.
So it was a crappy
It wasn't as
dunk,
good as you
basically.
thought. Yeah, it wasn't as good as you thought it was. Katie says, missed it. Sounds like it was not great, but 10 out of 10 in the spirit of Alex Pacine's positivity. Burns says, I like the fact that he changes up the read. I get extremely bored with always the same text, so I'm giving him a 9. Wow, Burn. Wow.
Thank you, Bird.
Wow. No, you're not submitting 2 scores to continue the segment, Coco. That is not happening. Valazan is getting together with Tafka to watch Europa League action, and of course Valazan's going to be watching Rangers first. Still very excited. Came in talking trash about Rangers straight out of the gate. I get it. It's the 55th title. I know. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. Stevie G's not ready for Liverpool, though. He's not. This is not ready. Not ready yet. You don't want that yet. Okay. We haven't got into MLS yet, and it's time to jump into some MLS updates. What?
Okay. No, so you're saving my homework assignment for later, basically.
Oh, yeah, we could go ahead and do that. And also, you did say something in your read that I thought was strange. You used the word stamp in there. I don't even remember what... Oh, you were using it in that way.
Yeah, put your stamp on something.
Well, just in case you didn't see what happened in the Copa Libertadores last night, there was a stamp, and it did not get a red initially. It should have, and it's from a repeat offender as well. He's kind of known for doing some horrendous things. The way it went down, it was weird. It was... A yellow card was given. It didn't go to VAR. San Lorenzo's Diego Bragueri, he stomped on Joaquin Lavre from Universidad de Chile. He was given a yellow. Lavre was like, dude, here, look at this. And the ref is like, oh, yeah, that's a red. These are... 2 things, and one on the right is from last night. The one on the left is Bragueri's previous exploits. Just take a look at that if you want to see what happened. The one on the right, again, is from last night. Pretty easy red card. And the one on the left is something he did previously, which is wow. Which is impressive. And that is Ronaldinho, who is nearly getting his leg broken in the first one. Yeah. Easy red card. The stomp was just like, man, you said stamp in there, and I'm like, oh, I got one for you. Look at this guy.
Yeah.
Good grief.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the on this day, and John has homework to follow up on yesterday's on this day. Let's start with the homework. Yesterday was Timbaland's birthday. John did not have any idea who he was.
Nope.
John knows who he is now.
Yep.
And John was ordered. It was an order to give your 3 favorite Timbaland produced songs. And there's a lot to choose from.
Mm-hmm.
How much homework did you do? How much work did you put into this?
It was a significant amount of time.
You listened to a lot of his work and a
listened
lot of songs
to a lot of his
produced.
associated work. Yes.
Okay. What did you come up with?
Well, I think probably one of the easier ones, and it was mentioned yesterday, is "Sexy Back" by Justin Timberlake.
Okay, that's fine.
"Diamond Dogs" by Beck.
Oh, of course you're going to go to Beck. Yeah, okay.
Well, it's a remake of a David Bowie song.
Yeah. That's he's done so much better things than that. That's a really disappointing choice.
And then Christopher Bridges' "Rollout."
Okay, why that one?
Well, because we know him as Luda.
Okay, you really did not do well with this, I don't think.
Well, I mean, I went through the early Missy Elliott stuff and really didn't, that stuff really didn't, do anything for me. Went through a lot of the Justin Timberlake stuff. But no, those were the 3 that I came up with for Timbaland.
So I will go with "Love to Love You," which was from his own album with Magoo, Timbaland and Magoo, from, when was that? I'm looking it up. 97. That was the first Timbaland album that he was on, not just producing. Right. Love that song. Love that record. Really underrated. "Are You That Somebody" for Aaliyah. I loved the work that Timbaland did with Aaliyah. There's so many others to pick a third. I want to go something off of Deliverance with Bubba Sparks. The song Deliverance is a great one. The 2 that stand out to me because they're so different for him. I mean, Deliverance is different, but Coming Round and She Tried sound nothing like Timbaland's other stuff. So I loved those. Man, I mean, you could just roll through it. "Are We Cutting" Pastor Troy, great one. That was 2002. I forgot he did "Oops Oh My" with Tweet, who didn't make it big on her own. Missy Elliott was on it, but that's a cool track. "Get Your Freak On" with Missy Elliott, cool track. You go "Ugly," Bubba Sparks, if I wanted to go down that road. But "Love to Love You," I'll go "She Tried" off of Deliverance, and "Are You That Somebody" for Aaliyah. And I could just pick a whole bunch of Aaliyah songs and be completely happy. Yeah.
Now, the "Get Your Freak On" by Missy Elliott, I could go with that one too.
Okay. The Beck one, I'm a little disappointed on. That's
no, like I said, that was a remake of David Bowie, and so for me, with the early David Bowie, that's where I went with that one.
Kind of lame. Music on this day, 1979. The Madden twins, Joel and Benji, were born in Maryland. You know them from a band, Good Charlotte. Do you know Good Charlotte, John?
By name, but not by song. I'd have to go searching here.
Can you tell me what genre they would be in?
Well, I would think that, wouldn't they be kind of like the alternative rock?
The alternative.
Oh, that's like alt rock kind of a thing.
Give me a little bit better description of what Good Charlotte sounds like.
Oh God, I don't know. I mean, so I'm sitting here looking at song titles, and I'd have to probably hear them where it's like Anthem, Little Things, Last December, Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. Okay.
You remember that one?
Yeah, I remember that one.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of super poppy. Super poppy.
Pop,
it's okay.
Pop punk kind of a thing.
Yes, it's okay. It's good for some fun from time to time. Paul Wall was born on this day in Houston in 1981. Do you know who Paul Wall is?
No.
Homework for you then is to listen to Grills afterwards and tell us what you think.
Okay.
And in 2003, it was the first of a tradition that I don't know what they're doing this year. I'm assuming they did it last year because it was at the beginning of all this. 311 played their first 311-day concert on 311, which makes a ton of sense. They did it at the State Palace Theater in New Orleans. They started playing special shows on March 11th. If there's any 311 fans out there, and I know there are some who listen to the show, what are they doing this year? Because I don't know what they can do this year, because it's been a thing since 2003, and I know people who go, and it's a big deal. So I don't know what they're doing this year. Do you know the 311, John?
Yeah, I know the 311.
You know the 311.
I like Amber.
Oh, that's the one I'd like the least. Do you right? I'm going back to the really old stuff for 311. But no 311-day plans this year, according to Jason Nix. That's sad. Yeah, I've got some friends who are 311 freaks as well, Jason. So
yeah,
I get it.
Too.
Birthdays in the soccer world on this day. 1978, we talked about who I feel like is the greatest player from the African continent in Samuel Eto'o yesterday. Well, Didier Drogba today, born on this day in 1978. He is right there with Samuel Eto'o. I'm going to go to Eto'o over Drogba. Barely. 1991, born on this day from South Africa, Kamahelo Makocho from FC Cincinnati. That was a good addition last year. I want to see what he does this year with a full season and Jaap Stam. And then one of the best young players in CONCACAF on the women's side, Jessie Fleming from Canada, born on this day in 1998. I keep waiting for her to become a mega superstar. She's got the talent to do it. And the big thing in the soccer world, it's hard to go past anything from a year ago on this day. The game with Club America, the Liverpool Atleti game. I mean, it feels like a lifetime ago, even though it was a year ago.
Yep. So my homework is, once the show is over before Europa League, is to listen to Paul Wall.
Paul Wall, Grills.
Okay. Grills.
Ricky gives us a happy belated birthday to Bad Bunny from yesterday. You know the Bad Bunny.
Yeah. Is he? No, he's no longer the 24/7 champ, is he?
I don't know if somebody beat him for it or not.
Or did R-Truth get it back, I think?
I'm not sure. You'd have to ask K Peasy. I don't know.
And yeah, see, and that was one of my topics for today. Whenever we got to, hey, I saw this.
I'm frightened. Then they're coming.
So
they're coming.
That was one of them. But
they're coming.
But Bad Bunny, I think, is set for a WrestleMania match against The Miz. It might be a tag team match with Miz and Morrison against Bad Bunny, and a fourth to be named later.
I think I would rather listen to Bad Bunny's music than watch him wrestle.
That's why I didn't watch the segment when he won the title.
I'm gonna listen to the music first and be good with that part of it. I mean, credit to jumping in and doing it. That's cool. And Randy Orton's giving him shout-outs a lot more than Soulja Boy. Whew.
Yes.
Randy Orton, not a fan of Soulja Boy these days.
No.
Yeah, that's going to continue on. Seems like everything that happens, it's Randy Orton yelling at Soulja Boy on Twitter again. Jeez. So, yes, Paul Wall Grills you got to get into.
Okay.
No 311 plans on the day. That is sad. I figured they'd at least stream something or do something.
Yeah, you would have thought.
So, yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's weird. Modiflow wants it to be Bad Bunny and J Balvin in the tag team. J Balvin's not a big guy, though, is he? I mean, you got to get some size on this group.
Yeah.
They needed to go get Shaq before he went to AEW.
Yeah, they did.
You know, I mean, Shaq's a big dude. I mean, he went through tables, but he's a big dude.
Table spot.
Yeah, they need something. Need something here. I don't know if Bad Bunny and J Balvin are going to win the tag team belts.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to pull it off. Okay, MLS. NYC is the big one that grabbed my attention today because of some comments from Ronnie Dyla yesterday in his media availability, I think his first of the preseason. Now, there was a follow-up line to this. They got left out of the kind of comments.
Yeah.
The was the depth of this squad is not good enough to do something in MLS this year. We only have one striker and only one clear number 10 right now. Now you hear that and you're like, wait a minute, that sounds a lot like what Dome Tarrant was saying when he was getting frustrated and left.
Yep.
That's not good. And you look at their squad and he's not necessarily wrong. Ricky is saying you have to also listen to Sitting Sideways by Paul Wall. You got to add that. So Ronnie Dyla has said, and this is a quote extracted from a media availability, the depth of this squad is not good enough to do something in MLS this year. We only have one striker and only one clear number 10 right now, talking about New York City FC. Now, he did say after that, we are getting closer and closer. I think you're going to see some signings before the season starts. So it wasn't just I hate where I'm at and I hate what's going on and I have no hope for the season. It was, we need more and we don't have it yet and we need it. You look at their squad. He says they only have one striker. Under contract, they have Castellanos and Eber. Now, Eber, check his injury situation, John, because I don't think he's back to start. I don't know when he might be back for them. They do have Andres Yasin, who hasn't really turned into anything, played 20 minutes for them last season. The number 10, you've got Maxi Morales. That is about it. Wingers, you've got Jesus Medina. You've got Ismail Tajori Shradi. That's about it. I want to see what Dyla does because, according to what I have, they've got 22 guys. They're good at goalkeeper with Sean Johnson. They added Cody Mizell in the offseason as a number 2. That's fine. Left back, they have changed it up a little bit. It's not Ronald Matarrita anymore. He is in Cincinnati. They have signed Malte Amundsen, who we'll see if he can hit the ground running and give you what Matarrita did. He was one of the best. Center back, you've got Callens and Chanot back again. You've got Tennerholm at right back, one of the best. Pretty good back line if Amundsen is solid. Midfield, you lose Alexander Ring, but you've got Keaton Parks, you've got James Sands, you've got Maxi Morales, you've got Nicholas Acevedo, who was pretty impressive in limited minutes last season. You've got Thorensen, who played 704 minutes last season, who's solid. Tony Rocco's been around for a long time, who's solid. Justin Hack, you're still waiting for him to kind of develop. It hasn't happened for him yet. But only 2 real wingers, only 1 healthy forward right now. What do you find anything on Eber?
Yeah, Michael Lewis at Front Row Soccer. Ronnie Dylas said, recuperating from a knee injury suffered, could be back during the summer.
Okay.
Eber is in Brazil having a good training there. He will be, this is quoting Dyla, he'll be available to play around June, July, around there, I think, maybe worst case August.
Wow, it's a little bit longer than I thought. I forgot when his injury happened. So, yeah, you need at least somebody else there. So you need somebody behind Castellanos, who was just called up to Argentina's U23s for a trip to Japan to play 2 games against Japan. We'll get into that in a second. So 1 reserve forward. You need somebody else who can play the 10 for Maxi Morales when he is rested or needs a break. You need at least 1 more winger, probably 2, so that's 4. You don't have any outside back depth behind Amundsen and Tennerholm. That's it at outside back. So let's say 2 more, so that's 6. Your midfield, you're pretty good centrally outside of that number 10 spot. So just to get those things taken care of, that's 6 guys.
Yeah.
I'd be frustrated too. What's the deal? It doesn't even feel like a situation because it came up in our Discord and Bernd asked a really, I think it was Bernd who asked a really valid question. Is this down to Claudio Reyna leaving? It doesn't even feel like it's missing on guys or what. It just feels like they're not trying to get anybody because there's no real big conversations about what they're going to do or who they're linked to or what.
Yeah.
I don't know what NYC is going to look like this year. It's really strange.
And that was why when we went over the early season odds yesterday that were being produced and NYCFC was where they were, I was like, nah, that's too high for me.
Yeah. It could be bigger. It was Bernd who said that about Claudio Reyna. Thank you, Bernd. I it feels bigger than that to me. It feels like it's not even like needing the right person in that job. It feels like they're not being given the resources to go get guys. Because Dome Tarrant complained about how slow things were. And that feels like it's not even just the GM, it's just the hierarchy and who's making the decisions and who's cutting the checks and what's going on. So I'm putting it even bigger. Is NYC, is City Football Group doing what Red Bull does with New York? And just it's low on the totem pole. They're not really all that worried about it. And like, oh, yeah, we should probably get them a couple of players here. I don't know. And the fact that now it's the second manager who has said something publicly that, I mean, there's frustration there, and there should be, because that's not good enough. I mean, I don't know who all's under contract in Manchester right now. I don't know who is on the fringe of the squad that you could go get on a loan that they should send over. They should. Haven't heard anything like that. Other clubs in the CFG portfolio, you know, they need to get some players here. I mean, even if that's what you do, is okay. Those 6 guys, it's a forward, it's a couple of wingers, it's a couple of outside backs. You know, it's adding the depth. Okay, go get them. Burn with a really good point, and it's a fair one. You know, they are spending a boatload of money to play at Yankee Stadium.
Yes, that was what I was going to bring up.
A boatload every single time. Because it costs a lot of money to transform the park. Are they waiting to spend more money? And they also came in and they spent a lot of money, and they realized, like, this didn't really get us anywhere. You know, I mean, the Pirlo, Lampard, Villa days, like, what did it really get them? Not much. So, okay, if you're going to do that, be strategic and say, we're going to go and get a good core of 15, 16 guys that can compete in this league and can be very good, and we're going to supplement it with young players from around the portfolio who need time. And that's the way you can do it right now until you're in your new stadium and they are working on it. Nothing has changed outside of dealing with a pandemic for the last 365 days. They are trying to get the stadium built. They are working with the community. Things are progressing, and they need to continue to. It's a process, and I'm sure it's been affected by COVID. But if they're waiting for that, I get it, but they can still get young guys in on loans from some of the different clubs. They have to do that. They have to be strategic in that way, and they just haven't so far.
Yeah, and that, to me, the stadium issue is something that is still lingering for me. It's like, you know, I know that I'm trying to take this past year in context and kind of leave it off to the side a little bit, but if you're spending all of this money to play at Yankee Stadium and you've brought in the high priced talent, they really didn't get you anywhere, and all of these expenditures, and the results aren't there, then what is your current thought about the stadium for NYCFC? And it's like, to your point, I think that if you brought in folks from CFG, from the other places in the chain, to help supplement that roster, then I think that at least, you know, we'd have some ideas to what you were going. But it's just the whole stadium issue for me is what popped up when you were discussing what was going on with NYC. It's like, all right, where do you stand on this? If you're investing all this money in all these different places, then what's the deal with the stadium right now?
Thomas DeWin said there's some growing suggestions that the front office is really struggling with recruitment. They're having trouble signing their targets. It's not quite that simple. It's not quite that simple because we don't know how many targets they've been linked to. There hasn't been a ton of press this year about who they're linked to. There just hasn't. Last year, Dome Tarrant said that Eber was like the 7th or 8th or 9th. The 7th or 8th or 9th option at forward. That was where that came from. I think that's where that came from, and that was a while back. So this year, I don't know. I don't even know how active they are trying to be. Winter Wind says, with this being the second manager with these complaints publicly, I imagine that is going to make it even tougher to get people to want to come there. Absolutely. Player, not so much, because it's New York. It's New York. I mean, people want to go to New York. It is in the CFG portfolio. That does give you the possibility of moving around in it. Like, yeah, I don't think that'll hurt. Staff, and especially coaching staff, yeah. Ragamuffin, just because you don't want to go to New York doesn't mean that others don't want to go to New York. Come on now. Let's not make it all about just us here, okay? There's a lot of people in the world who they know New York as a major city in the world, and yes, they would like to go to New York. Pep Guardiola likes New York a whole lot, by the way, and maybe he ends up in New York at some point. And then maybe things look really different because he doesn't go to New York and deal with this kind of nonsense, that's for sure. It's got to change. They got to have more depth because right now they are not a team that can be looked at as a top 3 in the East. No, that front line talent is pretty good, but what if you have an injured outside back? You're going to have to really shift around, play somebody out of position. What if Morales gets hurt? And at his age, he's getting up there, and he had injuries last year. What if you have an injury on the wing? What if you have an injury to Castellanos? You know, like there's just so many questions that it could fall apart really, really fast for them. They've got to at least get some depth in. They've got other clubs that they can bring players in from. Other clubs are developing talent. Even if it's 18, 19-year-olds, they've got to get some guys in there who can give them depth.
Bottom line, I mean, it's like the resources are there. Use them. If you had six? You had 6 guys or 6 spaces that you thought needed to be
6 that are a must.
Yeah. So you ought to be able to just sit there and it's like, okay, who's out of season? Who's not getting playing time? Who needs reps? That kind of a thing. It seems like it's a simple solution to help a problem that NYCFC, that manager for NYCFC is sitting there saying that needs to be addressed.
He did say, I think you're going to see some signings before the season starts. Maybe he's saying that because of PR. Maybe he's saying that because that's what he's being told. But it's the second time it's come up. So there has to be a question here. And you just look at the roster, and it is what it is. There's a lot of gaps. Cincinnati is filling a gap according to Atlas in Mexico, according to Stephen Goff, according to Pablo Maurer, according to folks in Cincinnati. Luciano Acosta is coming to town. He actually should arrive today. $550,000 in allocation money from Cincinnati to DC for his MLS rights. We don't know the terms of the deal to get Acosta into MLS from Atlas, but it's a big get for Cincinnati, who has invested a lot. And when you look at this team, now we went through it with NYC. First off, Cincinnati has 3 more players on their roster when you include Acosta. You've got goalkeeper that's still a question. Looks like it's Titon, but he hasn't really wowed me in his time in the league. They added Matarrita at left back. That's good. Center back, probably Pedersen and Van der Werf, which is okay. They were actually not bad last year. Right back, huge question. Saad Abdul Salam, Zico Bailey, not elite level at all. Both Saad Abdul Salam is 29. He's been around the league for a long time. Good reserve. Zico Bailey, 20, young. He's only played about 300 minutes. Is he ready for this job full time? Midfield, really good. Medunjanin, even at 36, he was excellent last year. Makocho, who we spoke about earlier, 30, good central midfielder. Frankie Amaya, 20. I don't know what the deal is. It seems like there's problems. He would be a good player for a lot of teams if they want to move on. Alan Cruz, good Costa Rican player at 25, who didn't really seem to be well-liked by Jaap Stam. He only played 750 minutes last year. Caleb Stanko for depth. You add Acosta into that, and I'm assuming it would be Acosta, Makocho, Medunjanin as your 3 midfielders. That would leave Amaya out. Do you make a trade there to go get maybe a right back, which you could use? Wingers, you spent money on Alvaro Barrial from Argentina. He's 20, only played about 300 minutes last year. It wasn't good, but you spent money on him. You've got to see what you have. You've also got Joe Zhao. You've also got Calvin Harris, who you drafted in the Super Draft at 21 years old. You've got Yuya Kubo. Okay. Pretty good on the wings. We'll see who it is on the left side. We'll see if Kubo's the guy on the right. And then it's Brenner up top. who scored a boatload of goals in Brazil. And you've also got Jurgen Locadia for at least 6 months, or a few more months, and who knows what happens with him. You've got Brandon Vasquez for depth. You've got Franco Kovacic from Hoffenheim on loan right now through June. Okay. You're pretty good if you're Cincinnati. You're pretty happy with that. Right back's the biggest question, and now you've got an extra central midfielder that you can trade and get a right back.
That was going to be my question.
That's what I would do.
Go ahead. With Acosta coming in, I'm just saying, with Acosta coming in, do you think that may be the trigger to get Amaya out to bring in that back?
It should be. I mean, if they're not going to play him, then yeah, they should move him on. He's 20. He's a player who I think would command a good return on your investment, which was a draft pick. So yeah, absolutely, you should pull that one off and get it done, and go get a good right back if you can find one, or go get the resources to go out and get a right back if you can. And look, because of the way everything's timed out, maybe you got a deal short term with Bailey and Abdul Salam. Maybe you can't make the big move until the summer. All right, that's fine. You've got to upgrade it right back if Cincinnati's going to be a playoff contending team in the East, which they have the talent to be. They've got to get a better right back, because that would be the thing that would hurt them at this point. Some other things around the league. New England, according to Glenn Crooks on Twitter, is being linked with a Icelandic international, Arnor Ingvi Traustason. He's at Malmo in Sweden. He is 27. He played in the 2018 World Cup, 5 goals and 36 appearances for Iceland. Okay. I mean, New England's pretty solid. You add another player with an international pedigree to it, that just increases the competition for Bruce Arena's squad to get time. An off-the-field thing that's very cool from Sporting Kansas City, they are going to be the first MLS club to feature a charitable foundation on their shirts for the duration of a season. The Victory Project, which is a philanthropic foundation set up by Sporting Kansas City in 2013 to support children battling cancer. That's going to be their front of the shirt sponsor. A Force for Good is the campaign. A portion of all kit sales are going to be donated to the Victory Project. They're also going to do a bunch of things together in terms of events and initiatives. Children's Mercy, which is the stadium naming rights partner, will be on one sleeve. Compass Minerals will be on the other sleeve. You can have 2 sleeve sponsors now in MLS if you want. I'm assuming this is still down to trying to make things good with the pandemic. They should keep it. I have no problem with sleeve sponsors. If somebody wants to buy it, sell it. It's all good. But very cool. And I know Sporting Kansas City talked about it with just the timing of how everything went for them. I think it was Ivy Funds, if I remember right, was on the front of the shirt. That deal was up with all the unknowns about the pandemic. They didn't want to sign a smaller deal. Doing this to buy them a year, getting great publicity, using soccer for good here, it's a smart play. And they might be in a better position to sign a better deal later this year when things are edging back into normal. I mentioned Castellanos to the Argentine U23s. There's 2 friendlies against Japan in Japan during the international window. Castellanos and Milton Valenzuela from Columbus were called up. Valenzuela will be leaving preseason, as far as we know. I haven't seen it's been turned down, and could be missing that game against, or their first game against, is it Real Esteli in CONCACAF? I think Columbus has Real Esteli.
Yeah.
Maybe you feel like it's a Nicaraguan club and you can afford to do that. I don't know. A question came up in the Twitch pitch about why isn't Barco part of that squad? Probably the same reason why Robinson and Lennon and Bello aren't part of the U.S. Olympic qualifying squad. Probably turned down if and I don't know if that's the case, but you're not going to let Barco go if you're going to say no to Robinson and Lennon and Bello. So just consistency, I would assume. You can't do that as a club. I mean, you can't pick and choose like which guys get to go where for those call-ups. If you're going to deny one, you got to deny all of them, and that would be my assumption because this is not a mandatory call-up. It's friendlies during the window. So I'm assuming either he wasn't called up, which is possible, or it was denied, which is probably the likely scenario here. Which should not, as we've talked about many times, it should not affect their availability for the Olympics. If Argentina calls up Barco for the Olympics, that's a whole different conversation for Atlanta United to have, and Argentina I don't think is going to not call up a player they want because he wasn't available for friendlies in March. Jason Kreis making that kind of a statement I thought was a little silly about not calling up a player because they're not going to the qualifying tournament, because there's going to be a lot of players from Europe that you didn't even dare to ask if they were going to be available, and that you would call up for the Olympics if they're available. So it's part of the deal. The U23s is a weird one. The Olympics and the rosters are very strange. So if there's any update on it, Bernd, I don't know. I'm not sure if I haven't seen any reporting that Barco was called up and denied, or if there's a conversation and it was, please don't call him up, and it didn't ever get to that point. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I would assume that he would not have been available if he had been called up because the other guys weren't. That's just my guess. Ricky said Pablo Piatti went back to Spain. He was introduced today at Elche. I think that had started to bubble up a little while back. He was out of contract. I think there were rumors that Toronto might bring him back, but he was out of contract at the end of the season, so not a huge surprise there that he doesn't go back to Toronto. So they've got a designated player spot to work with, and they're still linked to Rafael Santos Borre of River, and they might bring him in the summer and have to pay a lot of money. And then, what does that mean for Josie in the long term? Because I don't think you're going to play the two of them up top together so much unless you're going to go 3-5-2 with it with Chris Armas. So I'm not sure. That's a weird one of what the knock-on effects could be. The other big news in MLS is the schedule. The home openers are announced, and for Atlanta, we know that's going to be in Orlando on the opening weekend. And then the home opener for Atlanta is the next weekend, Saturday night, 8 o'clock against Chicago. It will be at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I don't know all the particulars and protocols and everything with the mass vaccination site and what this means and that means. That's way above my pay grade. But it's going to be at the Benz. There will be limited attendance. I would assume that number is in flux as we get closer to it, just because who knows? You had the announcements in the state yesterday that the availability for vaccines is going to broaden next week, and then that by April 1st and after that, because not everybody's going to be able to get it day one, is that all adults will be able to start making appointments, and they're going to have to start camping out on the appointment sites and all of that. So maybe by the time we get to April 24th, we're having a different conversation about how many people are involved and what that could look like. I don't know. I don't know. It is incredibly complicated. And you're dealing with science, you're dealing with perception, you're dealing with people's behaviors, you're dealing with so many different elements that are hard to control. So we'll just have to wait and see how many people are allowed. And if that changes, what's being said now changes later. The other stuff around the league, and in every market it's different. That's the other thing, is, you're already hearing that the Texas Rangers and Major League Baseball are going to open everything up for preseason games. Yeah,
the last two exhibition games, they're going to open Globe Life to full, which is I think 41,000. And announced this morning down in Houston that at BBVA Compass, the Dash and the Dynamo are going to play at 30% capacity, which is 6,500. Masks are mandatory except for eating and drinking.
And we'll see just how all of this goes. The season will kick off in Houston, April 16th. Dynamo and San Jose. That'll be a fun game on opening night.
Over.
Yeah, pretty much. Seattle hosting Minnesota, second game of the night. That's the Friday night. The rest of the openers are Saturday and Sunday, the 17th and 18th. Austin is going to Los Angeles to play LAFC. That'll be on Fox. Austin will open their stadium June 19th against San Jose, so they'll have extended road trip. They'll probably have some buys in there as well. Cincinnati's new stadium will open May 16th. They'll host Miami for that, so they'll be on the road for about a month. Again, you've got an odd number of teams, so you can have teams that take weeks off. And teams will probably want the schedule to be a little bit lighter early to get more people in the stands later. I would assume that is part of the reason we don't have a full schedule yet, is probably have a lot of lobbying in that regard. Columbus will open their new stadium later in the year. They will play at what is now Crew Stadium again because the sponsorship with Mopfre is gone. So Crew Stadium, April 18th, Columbus and Philly, which is a great game on opening weekend. The MLS Cup champs against the Supporters Shield champs. Love that one. Vancouver is playing in Utah. We knew that. They're going to play at Rio Tinto. Montreal is in Fort Lauderdale. Toronto is in the Orlando area. I think Toronto might play some games in Tampa. That was said. That wasn't 100% there. All 5 of the league's broadcast partners in this continent, which is ABC, Fox, Unimas, and the Canadian partners, CTV and TVA. All of them will have games on opening weekend. You've got a Fox game, you've got an ABC game on opening weekend, which is very cool. And the rest of the schedule should be out in the coming weeks.
Yeah. And I'm just, the fact that we're in training camps and, we're getting things squared away. And now that we have this little element here where we know that Atlanta United is going to start on the road and then come back and play Chicago on the 24th at 8 o'clock. Getting those first 2 games, there's that sense of realism that you're getting closer and closer and closer to a season, and that's just the fun part.
Yeah, it's like it hasn't felt real yet because, it's, it really feels like the season kicks off for us when they have the first day of training and they have a media day and all this kind of stuff, and you can't do that right now. So it's like, okay, there's a season coming, but man, it doesn't feel like it's even started yet. But you're having some media availability. You're having some players speak. It's ramping up. Now you know when the home opener is. Now you know when the first game is and where it's going to be. And it's against Orlando, so that obviously gets you going straight away. Yep. Bart wants to send Mike and I to Al Lang Stadium for a Toronto game. I don't know if we're going to be on the road. I don't know if we'll be in Orlando because last fall we couldn't travel. That was league rules. You could not travel even if you could arrange it because it was a weird set of circumstances where the game in Nashville was going to be weird about where we would be because the Falcons were playing the next day with a 1 o'clock game and being at the stadium was going to be difficult. And we were like, we can just drive to Nashville and drive back and call the game from there. It'd be a better call, and we'll do it because we're crazy. And we couldn't. You weren't allowed to do it. So, the New York teams playing one another, visiting, commentators could not be in the building. You had to call it remotely. So I don't know what it'll look like early this season. No clue yet. So we will see. I would love to call a game from Al Lang. I haven't been to Al Lang Stadium since I was 10, 11. I saw a spring training game there with the St. Louis Cardinals, and Ozzie Smith played. We used to go to spring training every year when I was a kid, and Ozzie Smith was one of my all-time favorite players. So we went to a game at Al Lang with the Cardinals. Completely different place at that point. So I'd love to see it now. It'd be very cool. Okay, questions from the Twitch pitch. Perfect Tommy says, do y'all think COVID killed away telecasts? I hope not. What do you mean? Yeah. People are doing away telecasts. They're just not always traveling. Which is different. You can still, as Phil Shane and Ray Hudson show you every week, calling games from Spain, as a lot of commentators do in this country. A lot of commentators do worldwide. It's not even just a U.S. thing. You can still do a great broadcast remotely. It's just different. It's a different feel. Away telecasts and away broadcasts for radio will happen. That's not going away. Just in the short term, I think the travel element's going to be difficult. In the short term, that could still play up early in the season. We'll see. We don't know. And I'm sure they're probably going to wait. I wouldn't expect we would be part of, the traveling party on a charter because we're not part of the league's protocol with testing.
Right.
And we shouldn't be part of a charter. So then it's just, can we go in the building? Can we do these things? It depends on what the stadiums are doing. But when you start to have people in the stands, then it's like, well, are you going to limit media and broadcast in these situations? So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Questions about FCC, they're going to have road games to open for about a month. They might play 3 on the road, maybe 1 bye week in there. That's doable. Burned, yes, we will talk to Mike about the ESPN NHL deal tomorrow and get his take and the effects potentially on MLS. It's a lot of money. And it's a lot of money that, is ESPN going to be in a position to give MLS more money Could somebody else come in with giving MLS more money? We have to see who the other partner is going to be on the NHL side as well. Could be NBC, might not be. They might get bumped. And if they get bumped and the Premier League thing becomes an issue, do they decide to take their money allocated for soccer and throw it at MLS? Don't know. Just have to wait and see. But yeah, it's some musical chairs on the broadcast front. And it's a big deal for ESPN and NHL. So we'll talk to Mike about that tomorrow for sure. I believe they are bringing the great ESPN NHL music back, though.
That they are.
John's
looking
excited.
forward to that. Yep. I mean, and there's an article in The Athletic. They Sean Gentili actually caught up with the composer of that particular piece of music, and so came up with the genesis of that. Caught up with him, and yes, it's coming back. Dun, 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 dun. Yes.
Well, that's good. I hope some of the people at ESPN who are big-time hockey people who have been incredibly salty about soccer and very immature and unprofessional at times about soccer content on their channel maybe realize how lucky they have it now with the NHL coming back, and maybe that dies down a little bit. I'm hopeful anyway, because it's been incredibly annoying because the NHL's been pretty absent from ESPN because they haven't had broadcast rights for a long time.
Yeah.
And there have been some people who probably are angry about that and probably angry that soccer's gotten content. So, what does it look like now? How does it shift around? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. But yeah, I hope the attitude shifts a little bit because it was noticeable and wrong on a lot of levels. Ricky says, how many intra-conference games do you think will be played? I assume a good bit with there being 2 on open weekend. I'd assume it's a normal schedule. I don't think there's any issue with the schedule now because of that. I think you're going to play intra-conference. You're going to play a schedule somewhat like you had in mind for last year before the pandemic. I think it'll just be a normal schedule. There was no limitations on travel in the weeks that we've seen so far, so I don't think there will be. It'll just be a normal schedule. You'll play everybody in your conference twice, and you'll play the rest from the other conference, is my guess. We'll just have to wait and see what it looks like. But I wouldn't assume it looks different. Let's see. Perfect Tommy says Disney Plus just saved hockey. Kind of. I guess. I don't know if it would needed to be saved, but they helped it a lot.
Yeah.
Because that's a good chunk of cash.
Yeah.
A lot of talk about the Fox/Bally's Sports South and availabilities and this and that. I'm really curious to see when the pressure hits on the baseball side because it's going to get talked about a lot, and that might turn everything. So there's no updates. There's no talk yet. There's no streaming services that offer Fox Sports Go on its own Turner. Nothing's changed yet, but I would assume the pressure from the baseball community will really start to ramp up here very fast, and that could change it. Hopefully it will. Tommy says on the ESPN side, the website's done a really good job covering hockey the past few years. Now I hope it transfers to the TV coverage. It will. I mean, that's how it goes. Like ESPN wasn't going to commit the minutes to hockey when they didn't have the product.
Right.
The digital side you could do because it's unlimited. So it will. I'm wondering who loses minutes. I mean, soccer's had growing minutes on SportsCenter and on the channel, and that's been great. Does it get affected by this? Does it get cut? Does do other sports get cut? The NFL's not going to get cut because somebody else will sign and they'll talk about Dak Prescott for what was it? Like
71.6%.
Well, that was the average. There was one program, and maybe it was on the other channel because there is a certain figure named Skip Bayless who goes nuts when anything comes up about the Cowboys, and I'm sure he was the one who talked about Dak Prescott's new contract for over 90% of his show. Yeah. That's my guess, anyway. So, yeah, I mean, that's not going to change. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Turner thinks that the having NFL and NBA do interconference helped. I agree. Turner has the torches ready if you can't watch the Braves. Will says I'd say baseball would lose minutes, but I'm not sure how much less they have to lose. It's possible. It is possible. they will have, and this is another thing for ESPN Plus and people who have that, if you are a hockey fan, they're going to have the out-of-market stuff on ESPN Plus, right?
Yep. They've had, I think, 1 or 2 games.
They've had a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, they've done a little bit, but this is with the new deal where they will get the they have the A package, which is $400 million a year.
No, not that. I'm talking about the out-of-market, like the center ice stuff. Like that's all going to be on ESPN Plus, right?
All on the Plus, yes.
Okay, and you don't have to pay extra for it. It's just all lumped into ESPN Plus, like MLS's.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was thinking, and that's a big deal. We'll talk to Mike more about the hockey side of things tomorrow. Don't worry. Other games in Copa Libertadores yesterday. Tito Villalba came off the bench, 68th minute for Libertad in their 1-0 win on the road at Universidad Católica of Ecuador. Libertad should be fine to get through. Tito's missed a bunch of games lately. There were some... I never saw it confirmed, although it could have been. I might have missed it, that he had tested positive for COVID. He'd been out for an extended period of time, and there were some folks going back and forth about what's been over the 10 days, and if you've been over the 10 days, you should be cleared to come back, et cetera, et cetera. He did come off the bench in this one. Caracas hosted Atletico Junior of Colombia. The Colombians won 2-1 on the road. They're in a great spot to go through. You win on the road in these series, you're going to be pretty good getting the second leg at home. Gremio destroyed Ayacucho, which is not a surprise. 6-1 win. They can cakewalk through into the group stage. And we already mentioned the Universidad de Chile San Lorenzo game. You had the red card from Diego Bragueri. 1-1. That's a good result for San Lorenzo away from home. They should be fine going through. Tonight, you've got Guarani of Paraguay. They're hosting Atlético Nacional of Colombia. That's at 7:30. FNTZ.co/soccer down here. If you need to get BN Sports, if you need to get your Argentine league, if you need to get the Brazilian state leagues, they've got a bunch of them. If you need Goal TV, if you need Tigo Sports out of Guatemala, if you need Centro America TV, even if the matches they pick up is completely random sometimes, and they say it's going to be Alajuelense, and it's not, it's still nice to have. FNTZ.co/soccer down here for all of that. One rumor that popped up, and I think, John, you had an early iteration of it, and it seems like it's a little, at least easier to understand now. Chelsea, according to Football Insider, might try to sell Timo Werner this summer.
Yeah.
£54 million move from RB Leipzig last year. He might be on the market this summer. That's odd.
And there's, this goes into your scuttlebutt and rumor and, whispers, but he's not happy because of his lack of output. Chelsea's not happy because he hasn't been, scoring or contributing to the level that they would like. And so is this just a situation where you have both parties who aren't happy and you just cut your losses?
Maybe, but I don't think you're going to cut $54 million of losses. I think you're going to have to find somebody to buy.
Right. And that to me is the thing. It's like you're not just going to let that walk considering the level of investment that you made. So I'm guessing there's talk that, I forget where I saw it, but that he might end up heading back to the Bundesliga in some manner or something like that. But this might be a 1 year and done and trying to ship him back to the Bundesliga for a price.
Burns says, what? Makes no sense. I bet they'd sell Pulisic if they could. If they add, and if they go after Haaland, then I could see it. I could see them moving on from Pulisic as well. Like I can see both. But if they're going to go hardcore after Erling Haaland and throw up $150 million or $200 million to get him, yeah, they might try to get rid of those guys and bring in 100 of it, 100 plus. I don't know. It feels weird. Like that one kind of caught me by surprise. I think the way it was worded at first, I threw it out because it's like he might quit the club. It's like he's not going to quit. Shut up. That's stupid.
He's not going to quit.
People say dumb things when they word some of this stuff to get you to click. I saw that and started yelling at the screen.
Yeah.
No, he might try to leave and force a move, and they might be willing to sell. I'm not quite as that'll happen unless they think they can really get Haaland, or they get Haaland, and then it's like, well, you know what? Maybe we can cut our losses here. But they've got to get Haaland for that to make any sense. In Germany, Bastian Schweinsteiger was asked about the next German manager. He said, "You need someone who knows how to win titles. Why not Hansi Flick? He's won everything with Bayern." That's from DW Sports. Ralf Rangnick, who is out of a job right now, has made it very clear that he would be interested. Duh. He's been very vocal in this. He said, Sky Sports has it, Derek Ray's talked about it, pretty much every outlet in Germany's talked about it. He's like, "Hi, I'm here." Mm-hmm. The German Federation's been really smart in not really commenting on anybody individually. They did say that they don't feel like there's a need to go outside of Germany to hire someone. They've got plenty of candidates outside of German coaches. They've got plenty of candidates. They don't have to worry about that. But they didn't say anything about what Ralph had to say. They didn't say anything of what Basti had to say about Hansi Flick. They haven't said anything about Jurgen Klopp. Like they're going to try to play it close to the vest, and I guess they're going to take their time on it.
And I mean, you don't want to sit there and play your hand out in the media and play it publicly anyway. But with everybody that's, everyone that could be out there, everybody who's waving their hand, you don't want to sit there and say that, "Yeah, I'm interested in you," because then you have all the other names out there and it just turns into a verbal street fight and people sitting there with agents and things like that. No, play it close to the vest until you know what you want.
If you missed it from our Smorgasbord watch-along on Saturday morning, the tackle at the end of the Wolfsburg-Hoffenheim game that was amazing and dangerous and scary and hilarious all at the same time. 4-game suspension for that red card and for that tackle, and that feels about right because that was horrendous.
Yeah. Ooh. I mean, that was...
Paulo Otavio was the player.
Otavio got that one, and it was well-deserved. It was up in the air and both feet and heading in, and about 4 is about right.
Yeah, it was pretty ridiculous. We were going nuts when that one popped up. If you guys have final questions, throw them into the Twitch pitch now. Throw them in on Twitter as well. We're going to start to wrap up here in just a bit. We do have a show coming up later, 6 o'clock. You can watch on Twitch. You can come join us at Wild Heaven West End if you want to grab a beer. We're doing giveaways for folks on site. We're doing giveaways for people virtually. $50 gift certificates to Wild Heaven in the future. Both ways, virtual and in person. Soccer in the Streets will be there. We're going to learn from Sanjay Patel what is next for the organization, what they're working on, how they're dealing with everything, what's next for the Station Soccer Project. We will also be raffling off a brand new Atlanta United jersey to benefit Soccer in the Streets. Lloyd's Soccer Shop will be there with new jerseys if you are interested. And supporters groups will be there if you are interested in learning more about them and what they have planned for the year. We'll be taking questions from you guys there as well. But if you have questions now, Twitch pitch or on Twitter at Soccer Down Here. Napoli, a crazy story. Football-Italia.com had kind of the write-up of all the different things that are going on. Gennaro Gattuso is not in a great spot in Naples right now. They're not bad. They still have a decent chance to get into the top 4, but the pressure is mounting. And now there's multiple reports that Maurizio Sarri could be going back to Napoli after things got nasty between him and De Laurentiis, the president. Could have Jorginho of Chelsea go back with him. This is nuts. It was at a point, according to Walter De Maggio, the director of Radio Kiss Kiss in Napoli, which is like their official rights holder, that De Maggio said that De Laurentiis said, or anytime you mentioned Sarri around him, he'd get angry. Like, it was to that bad. It wasn't even like they were arguing and it's just they're arguing, they're not getting along. It's if you even mentioned Sarri around the guy, he gets angry.
Don't you mention his name in here.
He gets ticked off. They've spoken now. There's been a thawing of the relationship. There are a couple of other possibilities, too. There's still players who were there from the Sarri time when he did really well with Napoli. Jorginho, his agent, Joao Santos, said on Radio Kiss Kiss, Sarri at Napoli with Jorginho is a wonderful idea. The player has 2.5 years left on his contract with Chelsea and an important salary. It's possible on a football level, certainly. We'd have to see, what the president thinks. Naples is a city that Jorginho loves very much, which marked an important part of his career. Sarri is also an important coach for him, at which he expressed himself at the highest level. Sarri is under contract with Juve. They are negotiating to terminate that by mutual consent by the May 30th deadline. Otherwise, Juventus will owe him another €7 million. They're going to want to get rid of that payment. They'd like for him to go work. Maybe he ends up back at Napoli. That's crazy. I would have never guessed that. Barcelona, people have been waiting to see what's going to happen with the rest of the staff around Joan Laporta. Jordi Cruyff reportedly has asked to leave Shenzhen FC in China after he has been offered a job at Barcelona. Now, I don't think anything official has happened yet here. This is being reported that he is asked to leave in China. He's got 1 year left on his contract. He wants to strike a friendly agreement to be able to leave early. Might be able to happen. I don't know if he had an out clause or anything like that. But Jordi Cruyff was one that Victor Font talked up a lot. Joan Laporta also mentioned that he wanted Jordi Cruyff involved. Cruyff kind of stayed out of it, the election part of it, and didn't want to pick sides and didn't want to do anything on the campaign side. Now it's kind of a matter of time before I think he goes back to Barcelona and rejoins the club that, his father, icon. I mean, he was an important person there, a figure there. He came up through the team when his father was there. When Johan Cruyff was fired before the end of the season, of course, the next game with Johan Cruyff not on the touchline, Jordi Cruyff scores the winning goal and gets cheered off the field, and everybody was very angry with the way Johan was treated on his way out. Interesting to see when this will happen. It's just part of the build at Barcelona. It's going to take them time. All this other stuff is secondary to what they do with Messi. That's the main thing. You want to run through, let's actually do this real quick. Do you want a hey, I saw this, or do you want a jump off?
Let me see.
You get to pick one and save the other. Why don't you do the hey, I saw this?
Yeah, let's do the hey, I saw this as far as leaning.
All right. Yeah. I keep forgetting about this. Maybe because of John's dancing that was upsetting to me, and that's why I was trying to block it out. But this is John's signature segment outside of ad reads. What is the hand motion? What is that?
I'm Billy Blanks.
No, you're not.
Little typo. Hey, I saw this.
What did you see, John?
A couple of things that were Premier League related.
Stop doing typo. It's horrible. First off.
I get exercise that way in the morning. All right, so Sky Sports did some analysis, as their pundits are wont to do, and I will post it in both the Discord and in the Twitch pitch. They analyzed Manchester City's chase for trophies. So my question is,
tell us about their chase for trophies first off.
Well, you have FA Cup; they're still in it. Gummy Bear Cup, they're chasing.
What? Okay, hold on. Let's be a little clear here. So, what is their lead at the top of the Premier League right now?
They are efforting. I know it's more than a dozen. Then I know they've got matches in hand. So hang on here. So Premier League, they are 14 up, with one more match played than Manchester United.
Give them the trophy. All right, that's one. FA Cup, what round are we in? How much?
FA Cup.
What do they have left?
That's what we're trying to figure out here. So, where are we? So, we are, as of February 12th, it is fifth round fixtures. And
that doesn't tell me anything.
March 20th and 21st, we are in the fifth round. Manchester City takes on Everton, and it is the round of 8.
That's the round of 8. That's a quarterfinal. Yeah. So 3 games to the FA Cup title. Who is left in the quarterfinals?
Bournemouth, Southampton.
Yeah, I'm not worried about them.
Everton is playing Manchester City on March 20th.
Okay.
Chelsea, Sheffield United.
Got to worry about Chelsea.
Leicester and Manchester United.
Got to worry about both of them, whoever comes out of that one. But one's going to be eliminated. I will give them a 70% chance of winning the FA Cup.
Okay.
Okay, the Gummy Bear Cup. They're in the
Gummy
final,
Bear
right?
Cup. Yes. And it is against Spurs on April 25th.
They will be the favorite. I think they win. Okay, that's 2 trophies and a 70% chance at another. Champions League.
Yes.
And Champions League, where do things stand for them in the Champions League? And what round are we in? And all of these things.
All right. So in Champions League right now, we're in the round of 8.
Yes.
And so with being in Champions League, as of course everything just decides to reset as I'm trying to scroll down.
We are in the round of 16. We will be in the round of 8.
Round of 16, we're into the round of 8. So Manchester City on the 16th takes on Borussia Mönchengladbach. They're a minus 400 favorite.
And what was the first leg?
The first leg, you had to ask me about that as I'm sitting here and clicking through everything.
Kind of important because there's 2
legs.
I
know. Yeah, I know. Manchester City won 2-0 in the first leg at Borussia Mönchengladbach.
And they're not at home. They're in Budapest.
Budapest.
They'll get through. So, okay, they'll go to the round of 8 where there will be a draw, and they could get the 4 teams that went through this week.
Yes.
And then who else could they be matched up with who plays next week?
Real Madrid or Atalanta.
Okay.
Bayern or Lazio.
Oy.
And Chelsea or Atleti.
I will give them a 40% chance on Champions League.
Okay.
Because it's all down to the draw. I mean, if they get Bayern in the next round, like they might go out at this round.
Right.
So, what was it? The question is basically like, what is their chance of winning all 4 trophies?
Yeah, what do you think they're going to get? A quad or a treble or some other number?
They will do a double, no question. I think they could do a treble. I don't think they will get all 4.
Yeah.
I don't. I think the Champions League one. I mean, look, if they get, let's say they get, who would be the weakest team they could get left? I mean, you could have an upset at next week's game, so let's leave that to the side. I mean, if they get Dortmund, I would think they'd be comfortable to go through. You know, they could get a really good pathway. They could get a horrible one. They could have to go through Bayern. They could have to go through, whoever comes out of Chelsea Atleti, which I wouldn't want any part of. They could get PSG. I mean, that could be the 3 matchups they have left.
Yeah.
You know, like it's hard to say. So I think they'll do 2 with a pretty good chance of a 3rd.
Okay. Yeah, my gut told me it was a domestic trouble and then they were not going to get Champions League. But, of course, that's dependent on the draw.
Yeah, it's down to the draw. I mean, it's down to the draw on the FA Cup as well. You know, I mean, like they could get, a bunch of easy games and everybody else could beat each other up and get eliminated. So, I mean, both have some luck to them. But I think 2 out of the 4, 2.7 is where I think their chances are.
Gummy Bear, Premier League, and probably and a decent shot at a 3rd one, probably FA Cup.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, FA Cup's the better chance than Champions League, no question, just because of the level of talent we're talking about.
Yeah, and then my follow-up question on the Premier League, and hey, I saw this, after Liverpool and Fulham played last weekend. Of the 5 teams at the bottom of the Prem, which looks most likely to be the 3rd to go down in your minds right now, assuming that Gravy Ball and Sheffield United are 1 and 2?
They're 1 and 2. They're gone. So, what are our options?
Fulham, Brighton.
Hold on. What are their point totals? Give us the point totals with the teams.
All right, so I'll give you the point totals.
That kind of decides who goes down is how many points they have. So I need to know who's got what of an advantage.
All right, so here's how it looks.
Okay.
Fulham right now
going down
is at 26 points. They are below. They are in the relegation zone currently at 26 points. They are 18th with a goal difference of minus 11.
Okay.
Brighton above them on goal difference only at minus 8 and 26 points.
Okay.
Newcastle is 16th at 27 points, and their goal difference is minus 17.
Okay.
So of Newcastle, Brighton, and Fulham, because Burnley is at 30 points, and I think that they're gradually
they're 4
separating
points clear.
themselves
It's
from
not
the
like
discussion.
they're separating much.
But they're still gaining points on a regular basis, where others are losing more than they're getting any kind of a point.
I think there's some garbage below them, but I'm not saying Burnley will really be lighting anything on fire here. I think there's just worse.
Yeah.
So who goes down?
Is it Newcastle, Brighton, or Fulham?
Newcastle's got the worst goal differential out of all of that.
And remember, Fulham plays Newcastle on decision day.
And it's at Fulham, right?
Yeah.
Brighton should not be where they are. When you look at everybody's favorite XG, expected goals, like I think Brighton's off by about 17 or so. They should have 17 more goals. Their finishing's been awful. They've been
Free
playing...
Moises Caicedo.
That has nothing to do with the goals part of it, John. Let's save that for a second. They should be in a better position. They're playing better than these other teams. At some point, that's got to fall their way, I would think. I think they'll be okay. I think it comes down to the final day. I think it comes down to the final day, and I'm afraid that Newcastle is going to have to win at Fulham to stay up. And I don't think they do it. I'm sorry, Alex. I'm very, very sorry, Alex, but I think the injuries that Newcastle's got right now, it's going to dig a hole. Fulham is playing better. They got bonus points that we didn't see coming at Liverpool. Newcastle is going to go into the final game and need 3 points at Fulham, and they won't be able to get it.
That's where I'm leaning myself. So it's going to come down to Fulham and Newcastle on the final day. That one's going to be must-see TV. Sorry, Alex.
Kind of. I mean, it'll be must-see TV in terms of drama, like not exactly great soccer.
Not for what's going on the pitch, but because of the context of what's involved.
Yeah, and yes, I would like to see Moises Caicedo keep Brighton up, but Brighton's being a little obtuse about this. I think it was Kefsi who corrected some phrasing earlier in the show. The totem pole conversation. It's something we always say, and you always say like it's the bottom of the totem pole. That's actually good, and I didn't know that. So thank you, Kefsi.
I didn't either.
Yes, the bottom of the totem pole is good. That's where you want to be. The top is not as good. So it's like we need to reverse it, but then people aren't going to understand it. Right. So maybe we just need to eliminate that phrase. That's a good one because that's a little incorrect. So thank you, because I did not know that. That is our history down here segment.
Yes.
So questions, comments from the peeps. Dance. Wow. Love the dancing. Only person who dances worse than me. The punching on the dance floor would be a bit aggressive. Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Agreed.
It is the I'm all right gopher. That's accurate too. DK wants us all to root for young boys today. I'm okay with that. I mean, I don't have anything against Ajax, but I'm okay with rooting for the underdog here.
I'm taking the over.
What are the numbers on that one?
All right. So the numbers themselves, and I'll get into the totals in just a bit. But the numbers on Ajax and young boys, Ajax is still favored. And that is the one that we had selected as a part of our pick six.
Okay, what do we have?
Ajax is a minus 149. Your draw is a plus 321. Young boys to win is a plus 396. And that has actually gone down because when we selected it on Monday night, Ajax was a slightly larger favorite, and young boys was north of plus 400 to win.
What did everybody pick?
I picked a crazy draw.
Mm-hmm.
You picked young boys. Nick and Jarrett picked Ajax, and the totals. Let's see if they've changed. Let's see. The total at 3.5 is a plus 129. The total at 4.5 is almost a plus 300.
I'm going to stick with my pick. I'm going to stick with the underdogs. I like it. I'm going to go with it. Sibachu with a brace. So DK wants us all to root for young boys. I am in. I like this. Okay. Burn says City won't win Champions League. Everybody's going to play them like Manchester United played them. They're still susceptible to counters. Yeah, I mean, it changes it. Depends on the draw, though. Like Bayern won't play them that way.
Yeah.
Liverpool might, but I don't think Liverpool's as good at it. I think Manchester United's really good at playing that way. That also has to be part of it.
Yeah.
Give Ole some credit, man. Give the man
really?
some credit. There's some teams that could hurt them for sure in that. But there's some teams that I think if they do try to play with them could get lit up like we saw yesterday, which was a part of the conversation afterwards was I think Hasenhüttl said that Pep told him that he appreciated somebody actually coming in and trying to play. And well, I mean, you saw what happened, but
yeah.
Then you get the others who are like, oh, Hasenhüttl's so naive and stupid. Like, why would he try to play against that team that's so good? Because that's how they play. Like, again, it gets back to identity. And, okay, if you're just not as good, like, do you try to do something that you can't do? You're not a defensive team. You're not a team that can sit back and play on the counter. All right, you just got to go straight up and play them in your way and be better on the day. And if you can't be, you can't be. You shake their hand and you take the L.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to see who City gets drawn with because they can beat a lot of teams. But, yeah, if they get somebody who defends well and is comfortable playing on the counter, they could have some problems. City Bayern, if that's a quarterfinal, I'm all in. That'll be good times. Four Card thinks they get the treble. Byrne says, I'd love to see City Bayern, then Bayern Liverpool. Just want to see these games. The other way around's fine, whatever. I'm good with both. That'd be a blast. Byrne says, let's say XGs have not been Newcastle's friend these past 2 years. Ragamuffin says that final day is going to be awesome. Great matches. KFC on the totem pole thing. It's more than it's misused, yes. Yes. We'll try to get rid of that one. It's such an old one, though. Like, it's such an old one. It just, like, it sticks in your head.
Mm-hmm.
Byrne asks about the 2 schedule. I don't know. It might be early in April, to be honest. I think the teams in this region will play that second weekend of the MLS schedule, the weekend of the 24th. That's my guess. I think they want most teams to be playing by May 1st. There's a few might not be able to start until a little bit later. I think in the South they'll probably have games that second weekend of the MLS season. So is Atlanta United home that weekend? I don't know. But, yeah, once we get it, we'll definitely give you a heads up. Byrne says, what's the starting twos lineup as of today? Your guess is as good as mine. No clue, just because it's hard to tell how many of the academy guys are going to step up and what the situation could be with guys coming down, a player like Morales, a player like Machop Chol. It's impossible to guess right now. It's just impossible. Let's get a little bit later on that one to get into it.
Yeah, give us about a month.
Byrne is still trashing Ole and being very, very mean to Ole. It's okay. It's okay. I just don't know why everybody attacks this guy. He's always smiling, except for when he was wrong about referees. That was wrong. That wasn't cool. Casey Stoney's the best Manchester United manager right now. That might be true, which is fine. That doesn't mean Ole is bad. Yeah. It doesn't have to be good and bad. It could
doesn't mean OGS is chopped liver when it comes to managing.
Poor Ole, man, that guy he's always trying to smile, and except for when he was wrong about the referees. But in general, he's trying to smile and stuff. Ragamuffin, we are not starting in on the Ole hate. No, we are not. So mean. Everybody's so mean. Leave that man alone. Ricky saw a rumor that Giannetti is not having surgery now. Yeah, I saw that on Tet Say this morning. He could play this weekend for Vélez. It's risky, and look, that's the decision that had to be made for him, for Atlanta United. If you think, look, there's a good chance that his knee ligament goes, and I don't know, without knowing the scam, without talking to a doctor, I don't know. Is it a matter of time before it goes? And there's just, well, then it's going to go, and we just don't know when. So go ahead and play. Like, there's nothing you can do. Or could you have surgery to correct it so it doesn't tear? I don't know. I don't have the details. But, yeah, I saw that, Ricky, that he might play this weekend. You're not going to sign a guy that you believe is going to have an ACL tear and be out for a year. You're not going to make it. You're not going to sign that. So, it's risky, but you just have to figure it out now. So we see. He traveled with the team. Okay, thanks, Ricky. I don't know. I don't know the situation. Will says if Vélez has more center backs or the window is still open, does he have the surgery? And that's another good point of it. After the 7-1 to Boca, there could be a little bit of pressure on, hey, dude, We'll roll the dice and we'll make sure you're taken care of if this thing goes. But dude, bruh, did you see what happened in the last game? Did you see 7 on the board?
Bruh.
We need some help, man. Chabon. Por favor. Man. Bad. So maybe that's it. He might have the surgery if they had more cover or if they hadn't just lost 7-1. That's a good point, Will. Burn to big up Casey Stoney, which deserves to be big upped. Manchester United's women's team says they play the best organized press of any team that Burn has watched this season, men or women, so well run. Absolutely. It doesn't mean Ole's bad.
Right.
Poor Ole. They have 2 good managers. This is good.
Yes.
Just like Chelsea has 2 good managers right now.
Yes.
With Emma Hayes and Thomas Tuchel.
Yes.
I think Emma Hayes gets along with people a little bit better, and Thomas Tuchel hasn't worn out his welcome yet. But it'll happen. Trust me, at some point. There'll be something that happens, and then we'll start to hear, like, oh, told you he was a bad guy.
Yeah, Tommy Tuchel's out of school.
Tommy Tuchel. Out of school. Jeez. Nick Alifi just comes in randomly yelling press. He might have heard Ralph Rangnick. He might have heard Casey Stoney. Doesn't know. And somebody says press, and Nick comes running in screaming.
Bang.
That's what happens. Nick, you want your boy Rangnick now to come to Milan? You going to try to push for that in the offseason, or are you happy with what you have? Are you happy with where things are going? We will see. We will see where this goes. Any other things we needed to touch on today? I am checking to make sure. John put about 50 notes from England in the sheet, which I am not surprised on. There's conversation about VAR, and now the Premier League could be asking their clubs to recommend improvements to VAR. I don't think the box that they put at the door when you leave the stadium, give us
suggestion box.
Yeah, give us suggestions on VAR. I don't think they're going to get good reviews back right now.
No,
Pep's going to write them a bad one after yesterday.
Yeah, Antonio posted the screen cap of McCarthy going in on Phil Foden and going, not a penalty? How?
Yeah, there's no explanation. Contact was made earlier this week. Clubs have been told the Premier League is working with the referee body to identify and implement improvements to VAR. They are taking feedback from managers, directors, and captains with changes set to be implemented from next season, Sportsmail can reveal. There will be plenty. Guardiola, when asked about VAR, oh my God, the VAR, oh my God. The penalty is incredible. The action I don't understand. Maybe they will explain one day. Hopefully they can explain what is going on. Man.
I just have these visions of Pep just, oh my God, and the hands just completely and totally going as far out as they possibly get. Oh my God.
Yes, it's bad. We hadn't mentioned this in Brazil. The Maracanã in Rio, the famous stadium that has had multiple World Cup finals in it, will be renamed in honor of Pelé. Mm-hmm. A vote by the Rio de Janeiro state legislature to change the venue's name to the Edson Arantes do Nascimento Rei Pelé Stadium. Rei is king in Portuguese as well as in Spanish. Very cool that he'll get this honor. He's 80 years old now. The state governor must approve it. Very, very cool, and I hope when it is safe in Brazil to have a big crowd, they honor him, and he can hopefully attend, and it can be a big deal. It's very cool. I'm surprised just because it's such an iconic stadium that they would do it, but that's awesome.
No doubt, and it's very, very cool. Although I know it's I'm still going to call it the Maracanã. It's going to take a little while to get adjusted to referring to it as the Rei Pelé Stadium. Yeah,
it's going to take a minute, but it's very cool they're going to do this, and it's very cool they're going to do it while he's still with us, and he gets to be part of that as well.
Yes.
In Napoli, there had been talk that they had some things in mind. I don't know if they were going to change the name to the stadium, but they were going to do, for example, the Argentine-inspired third kit that they did. They were going to do that and have Diego there and make a big thing of it. They didn't get a chance to do that. There's a lot going on in Argentina, and it's probably way too much for us to get into right now about it because there's so many different moving parts. But there was a march yesterday. People are demanding answers as to what happened in Diego's final days and weeks. A lot of people are being blamed for a lot of things, a lot of negligence, and this is going to continue to be a big story, sadly, in Argentina for a while until there are answers, and there's a lot of unanswered questions. So that's going to continue to be in the news there, and I hope it eventually is resolved and it can be put away and everything can be done. It's just it's frustrating. It's bad. This weekend, Tres Dias del Super Clásico, River and
Super
Boca.
Clásico.
They don't have monster trucks in Argentina, John. That is not the excited Argentine voice. That is not what it would be. That might be the excited Mexico voice because they have Tres Dias del Super Clásico in Mexico as well.
Super Clásico.
There you go. Guadalajara, Club America, Chivas, Las Águilas. That is the nightcap. That is going to be a 10 o'clock kick Sunday night. Oof. 4 o'clock for Boca and River. So you got dos Super Clásicos in Mexico and in Argentina on Sunday. It'll be the Super Clásico day. It will be a fun day of action on Sunday. Really no big news in either one at the moment. Marcelo Gallardo was awarded a Coach of the Decade award by the Konex Foundation in Argentina yesterday. He just spoke on how big the game was coming up. Really no big talking points out of it. Gallardo and Diego Simeone were named the Coaches of the Decade for 2010 to 2019. Absolutely worthy winners, and we will see what happens in that with Boca coming off of a 7-1 win, River coming off of a 1-0 loss. Gallardo said, no big deal. We played well. It's a great goal at the end. We're not worried. Yada, yada, yada. It's what you would expect. What's the situation in Mexico with Chivas and America? Who comes in as the favorite?
Let's see. As we look at the juice boxes on this one, let's see if we even have the numbers out yet for the weekend. Yeah, we do. Really nobody. Chivas at a plus 177. Your draw just north of plus 200. And Club America at a plus 168. Currently, the way the standings are. But hey, with the Super Clásico, you can throw the standings out the window.
In Guadalajara, though, and there will be people in the stands.
Yeah. Chivas is 10th in the table at 12 points. They have drawn 4 of their last 5. Club America has won 4 of their last 5. They are second in the table at 7-1-2 and 22 points, 2 points behind Cruz Azul.
I'm going draws in both, and I'm going more red cards than goals in both.
Yes.
Mejores patadas, for sure.
Yep.
Get the account ready.
Yeah, I think definitely the Club America Chivas, that one's going to be
definitely
crazy.
In that one. Have you watched the match from Argentina before, John? You think the Mexico game's going to be like, oh, it's going to be so much crazier than Boca and River? They moved it to another continent once, John.
Yes, I know.
They have never moved Chivas and America to another continent.
I want to see who the center refs are and how trigger happy they are.
Yes, that is accurate. I think Boca and River will be more intense. I do. Nick about pressing. He's like, let's go. Rangnick to Milan gets my approval. He does want a statue of Pioli outside the new San Siro, which will get built in, 30 years? Is that accurate? Forecard says if it ain't broke, don't fix it, talking about Milan, and I would tend to agree. Ricky's going to try to get to 10 or 11 brewery shows on our tour, which is awesome. Wow. KFC,
you can get the tour T-shirt at our Teespring store.
Yes, it is available on the Teespring, along with a Quiricocho shirt that has made an appearance after yesterday's conversation. KFC reminds us about Nico Cantor's tweet yesterday, said that VAR had made the game soft, and any foul that can be a PK will be. Is that over the top? Yeah, I think it is. I mean, it's a reaction in the moment, which we all do. It's not like that, but it does potentially, if they don't handle it right, incentivize people to dive and look for VAR to get involved. The thing is, VAR looks at it and does it properly, they're going to see it's a dive. They're not going to do it. I think what they need to do is in situations where they really feel like there was exaggeration or there was complete making it up diving, get back to giving a yellow card for those. And yeah, I know it puts somebody in yellow card jeopardy. So what? Don't dive. Don't try to exaggerate. They have to use that. They have to use that as a balance because you are going to see some things that referees would have missed before, which should have been a penalty before, but they missed it because they weren't in position to see it. Or, their team just missed it. The AR missed it. Everybody missed it. VAR will fix those. That's good. Just like the hand of God goal. That would not have happened in a VAR world. That's a good thing, ultimately. We don't want games to be decided incorrectly. But you do have to then use the flip side of it. If people try to look for penalties more, punish them. You've got the ability to do it. Give the yellows. I think that'll find the balance. Ricky says we'll be watching the new episode of Football Americas after the show tonight. I did get a chance to watch it yesterday in the lead up to Champions League. It's a good show. It's like 30 minutes. It's jam-packed with stuff. It was very heavy U.S.-Mexico. I'd like to see what it kind of expands to be. But I'm just glad they're putting the content out there on ESPN Plus because you've got a digital platform that you're not, married to a calendar. You can put out whatever you want to put out. I'm glad they gave Sebastian Salazar and Hercules Gomez the show, and I want to see what they do with it and how. Do they go into South America more? Do they go into Central America more? Do they tell us about, man, everybody's going nuts about this Costa Rican U23 team? Do they tell us about them? Because I'm not quite seeing it yet. They've got a good midfield, good forwards, really good forwards, but a backline of mostly domestic players. Is that really good, or are we maybe overreacting? I don't know. So we'll see. I'm excited to see what that show can be. I'm really glad ESPN gave them the content. It's Brett hanging out in the Twitch pitch. What's up, Brett?
What's up, Brett?
Are you doing Europa League games, Brett? Let everybody know if you are, so they can hang out with you this afternoon. Ricky's yelling at me to watch the Pele doc. I have not seen it yet. I'm behind on my stuff, man. It's been busy lately, and we're doing like 2+ hour shows these days, and we've got live shows, and I got like spreadsheets of MLS teams that I'm updating, and
yes.
But I will try to watch it, man. I'll try. I'm working on it. Will says a monster truck rally at River is something I didn't know I needed until just now. Man, don't tear up that wonderful pitch at El Monumental.
No,
they just relayed, and they just did the work on the stadium. Like, if you want to do it outside,
yeah,
cool. A monster truck rally in Argentina just in and of itself would be amazing. But yeah, let's not do it at the new stadium. They just put a lot of work into that place. I don't want to tear anything up just yet.
Nope.
DM Tim asks about any watch-alongs this weekend. Bernd is recommending no Bundesliga games on the weekend. We will be doing something Saturday morning, and at a very quick glance, Crystal Palace and West Brom. No. It will probably be a 10 o'clock start, and it will be Real Madrid and Elche by default, and John will be furious because he hates La Liga. He's very anti-La Liga for some reason.
Well, I'm also anti-Crystal Palace and West Brom.
Everybody should be. Everybody should be. Yeah, it's not a great one for
Wait, is that going to be the watch-along this week?
No. It's going to be the Real Madrid game. No, it's going to be Real Madrid. Settle down, Jarrett. I didn't even know you'd pop back in.
I
popped back in and heard that.
Yeah, well, you can pop back in on Sunday, where there will be a watch-along for the Super Classico of Argentina.
That's cool.
Boca and River. And they're saying it's 5 o'clock.
West Brom.
No, we do a Saturday morning watch-along. We've got to pick the best game to focus on. I'm sure we'll point and laugh at West Brom. We'll say, haha, look at the gravy flowing through the stands. But that'll be it. Boca and River is listed at 5 now on SofaScore. I thought it was 4. We will get confirmation. But Sunday for Boca River, there will absolutely be a Gambetta watch-along, and hopefully all of you can join us for that. The Bundesliga games this weekend, how bad are they, Burned, on Saturday? In that 9:30 slot, they're pretty bad. Werder and Bayern, Wolfsburg and Schalke, Mainz and Freiburg, Union Berlin and Köln is probably the best of the batch. We'll talk about it, but yeah, I think we'll start at 10, and it'll be Madrid and Elche will be our primary game. But Sunday, no question, Boca River, Gambetta will be flowing for that one. Get your Fernet ready. Ricky shares the link to the Copa 90 stories on the Diego Maradona Toronto tale, which has been written about. I think it was written about by Pablo Maurer in The Athletic. This has video to go along with it. It is out now. It was coming out today. The link is in the Twitch pitch. That will be a fun one for sure. Diego Maradona playing for some random like semi-pro / amateur team in Toronto in 1996. Yeah, sign me up. I'm all in on that. Four Card has a question for John. What's bigger, Arsenal Tottenham or Boca River?
Please.
Answer the question, John.
It sure as heck ain't the Arsenal one.
I mean, Arsenal Tottenham's a big game.
But it's in Boca River. Oh, and Toronto Italia was the team that Diego Maradona played for, along with his brother Lalo for in the exhibition game.
Yes. Nick says San Siro will be built before the others because Milan is more progressive and business-minded than Rome and Florence. So 15 years then, Nick. Is that what we're saying? The others will be 30, and Milan it'll be 15 for a new San Siro. Ram comes in, and Jarrett, this is one for you. He says Rangers and Celtic is the biggest rivalry. Change my mind.
Man. River Boca's got a real shout there. The Rangers and Celtic has layers to it.
Yeah,
which other rivalries have layers too. It's not to say that other rivalries are shallow.
I mean, they're all different. It's hard to compare. Like, it's hard to rank. I mean, Arsenal-Tottenham's not the biggest match in England every year.
Yeah.
You know, that would be my question. Is what is the biggest matchup in England every year? Is it Liverpool-Manchester United?
Liverpool-Everton?
No. Really?
From a rivalry standpoint.
Manchester United-Liverpool would like to have a word. The Manchester Derby would like to have a word.
Yeah, I was going to say City and United was another one I was going to put out there.
Yeah. I mean, Liverpool-Everton's a rivalry, but it's not the biggest game in England. But like Rangers-Celtic is the biggest game in Scotland every year. Yep. Boca River is the biggest game in Argentina every year. Chivas America is the biggest game in Mexico every year. There are other rivalries in these countries, but it's hard to compare those countries and how those games fit in those countries. I don't necessarily know what the biggest one in England is every year now. It's probably shifted, but I think Liverpool-Manchester United for the last 30 years or so has been that game, in my opinion anyway. I might be wrong. Bigger than Liverpool-Everton, but that's a local one that will have intense local reaction, but maybe not nationwide reaction.
Yeah.
And not worldwide. I think more people are looking at Liverpool and Manchester United. You said it, John. Defend what you said. Like, you said Liverpool-Everton.
But I was looking at it specifically from the locality where Old Firm. I was looking at it from that point of view. I mean, you have City and United in Manchester. You've got Liverpool and Everton separated by a park. You know, I was looking at it specifically from the locality. I wasn't looking at it from the grande sense.
Yeah, but it's the grande sense. I mean, they're separated by much. It's the same thing in Argentina. Like, Racing and Independiente is not the biggest game in Argentina. They're separated by a street. It's Boca River. Like, no question about it.
I'd look forward to them eventually tying the Old Firm to the next referendum for Scottish independence, because that's just going to make it even more fun. And especially now that Rangers is actually really good again for the first time in 10 years. That one will come back into the conversation because, again, it's been a decade since you looked at that game and went, oh, this will be fun.
Is Rangers still fighting with the Scottish government?
Probably.
Oh.
Are they
and
still...
Celtic is still firing off petty tweets because, again, these two teams are just tied together, and they kind of like being tied together no matter what they say.
Yes.
So, I mean, their fates are tied together. Man, a vote for Scottish independence, though, just is going to make this even more fun.
See, Tommy says Newell's and Rosario Central might be the most heated in Argentina, but it's not the biggest, though. It's not Boca River. Like,
and see, that's also an interesting question of how do we define rivalries? Because back to Scotland, Aberdeen Rangers is pretty damn heated, but it's not the biggest.
Yeah.
But they despise each other.
Yeah.
Mostly because of one of the most horrific tackles you'll ever see.
Yeah, it was. It was really bad. I think each nation kind of has... Oh, Ram is an Aberdeen guy, so there you go.
Go Dons.
I'm assuming guy. Sorry, I might be wrong. And he said Durant dived, Jarrett.
I love this so much right now. I love everything about this conversation. I mean, and I don't know if Durant knows. I don't know if Durant over or not. I don't know if I'm just going to restate my theory that Aberdeen has sandbagged games against Celtic in the past just to make sure Rangers don't win the league.
That's pretty bad.
This is my black helicopter. It's very much not.
That's
true,
a large
my
black helicopter that Jared is flying right now. That's gonna about do it for us. Perfect Tommy will be pairing up the Super Classico with cheesesteak on Sunday.
Oh, cheesesteak.
Get your Fernet. Get a choripan. I might have to go over to Elsewhere Brewing and get a choripan for the day. I don't think I'll have my alfajores in time. I don't think they're going to be delivered in time. I've ordered some more because they're really good. I do have some dulce de leche, but I think I'm going to save that for another time. I think it's going to be Fernet and Coke for the Boca River match. All kinds of stuff this weekend. That'll be a fun one. I don't know what Saturday morning will be. It might be a lot of consternation about these games because they're not really great. Final comment. 4Card says Jarrett lives in a black helicopter. I agree, 4Card.
It's true.
He agrees
It's very true.
It's absolutely true. It's ridiculous, but it's hilarious all at the same time. That's going to do it for
I
us.
enjoy myself. Thank you.
Yes, you do, and we all enjoy your black helicopter theories from time to time for sure. We are done for now. We'll be back at 6 o'clock. If you can't join us live at Wild Heaven Brewing in West End, you can watch on Twitch right here if you are on the Twitch pitch. If you are listening to the podcast that comes out a little bit later, twitch.tv/soccer down here. You can watch the show there. It will not be on the app live. It will be on the app later. Live, you have to watch on Twitch. There will be giveaways. If you're with us on site, there will be giveaways. There is a raffling off of an Atlanta United jersey, the brand new one, the black kit. That's going to benefit Soccer in the Streets. They'll be on hand. We'll talk to them. We will talk about everything that happens in Europa League today and any other news of the day. We'll get into it this evening. Hope you can join us in person or virtually, and we'll be with you at 6 o'clock. Mucho platio.
Mucho platio.
Mucho platio.